and it was also how I knew that I was not destined to do that. I was miserable. Things I was doing, I would leave the old Fitness Factor gym, which is just around the corner from where you are. I would leave there and I would be eating like space cakes at like 9 at night, which again is not the smartest to move. By the time I'm getting home, I'm already in orbit. But again, it was the misery of what was coming the next day. It was like...
This week's episode is sponsored by Braveheart Promotions, coming to you live from the Rufus Halls on July 26th. Tune in for the 4-man King of the Kingdom tournament. Once again, that's Braveheart Promotions, July 26th, the Rufus Halls, Glenrufus. This week's episode, I'm joined by Primitiv Evolve's Dean Hepburn. Dean, a physiologist.
Sport and exercise. We could be pedantic and could go with both. Make it sound more fancy. Very good. Good open mat earlier as well.
Aye, it's good to have you doing it.
It's been very good. Again, it's always been like that with Stevie as well. And same building, probably for the early days of my martial arts journey as well, was being in there before then going elsewhere and stuff with other gyms. And full tilt, still always make an effort to get in with Stevie, and then obviously get to train with yourself, and Callum and stuff's passing through that way as well, so it's awesome, man.
Aye, it's good to have you in, mate.
The evolution of Fife martial arts as well.
Aye, big difference now, I bet.
Yeah, very, very good. Even like Ross, like I've not seen Ross in maybe 10 years out with the social media. Then seen him the day and rolled him the day as well.
He's a beast.
He's an absolute unit.
Strong.
It was like mid-roll, I'd be looking at his legs. I was like, what if my legs are going to look like that when I grow up? It's about 10 years younger than me.
Again, he's froze me a bit today, to be fair. You've to be fair, you've been around Fife, really, haven't you? You've been at quite a few of the gyms. Like
12 years grappling, I think. Since I was 18, doing wee bits and bobs of boxing and things as well with Gordon Brennan, and still associated with Gordon and stuff as well.
Yep.
And now training at his gym in Trench as well, with a wee grappling class as well on a Friday, so which is good. It's good as well. Like just seeing the evolution of Fife martial arts. What year did you start?
2017.
And even then, you think for then till now, it's like there's a lot of competitive gyms in Fife. Some maybe not as good as others, but you guys are definitely up there, top of the food chain as well.
You think so?
Definitely with the standard of grappling.
You've been a few places, but at Rising, you've been, obviously you're at Prana now, which is out with Fife, obviously, and other gyms out with that. What was I going to say? Did you just to start off on quite a funny topic? Did you see Paddy and Dennis's
Dench Frimpong? Yeah, I've seen, like I was saying to you earlier, we've seen a lot of Dench Frimpong floating about social media and things like that as well. And to see the two sparring as well. I seen the clip pop up last night. It was like leaked footage. Have you watched the footage of them sparring?
I've watched the full 5 minutes.
What was it like? Not bad, or?
Aye, to be fair, I think that guy catches Paddy at one point, and he looks no bad on the feet. He's funny enough, he's actually following the podcast now as well, that Dennis. So we maybe see this. But he looked no bad, mate, to be fair. But I think obviously Paddy's like specialty is the ground.
UFC calibre athlete as well. Regardless of the mixed opinions of Paddy and stuff as well, it gets to a stage where you can no longer knock somebody when they're up there and how they're winning, even if they're scraping wins or if they're absolutely smoking it. It's like at what point can the casual fan be? At what point does the cheek eventually slide away and you have to just respect somebody as well?
I think his last fight, he proved a lot of people wrong with that. Yeah. He looked great.
He's ironing out these wee bits and pieces you're seeing as well. And I think that's then when you start to like somebody as well, you start to see like everybody has a bit of banter and chat shit and stuff like that. And I don't think it's meant in a malicious way. It's just very much like small talk and banter between the boys.
I think he's just always like that. I just think that's how Paddy is. But a lot of people, you either love him or you hate him, I think. But he's went kind of full circle, isn't he? Because he was really popular, and then after that close fight that he thought he clearly won, I think a lot of guys turned on him with that because it was maybe come across a bit arrogant. Sometimes it's hard though, I think, when you're in a fight, to maybe once you watch the back, maybe think, maybe that was a bit closer.
But even yourself, some matches and stuff as well, if they go down to the wire, it's very subjective. Sport jiu-jitsu as well, when you have the referee, let's just say the referee is very much a guard dominant player. You may be a top dominant player and it comes down to a sport jiu-jitsu match, you're probably going to find the guard player will unconsciously lean more towards what he appreciates as a grappling format as well. Same with judges and stuff.
So how long have you been training for then? You asked me that.
Since I was 18, now 34. That's when I first started, was a wee bit of boxing. It was more like circuits and pads and stuff like that. So I met Gordon Brennan. Then Gordon opened his own gym and was with him for the longest 2 years before venturing more towards MMA.
Right.
And then eventually got to fight MMA under black box Muay Thai as well, in Thai shorts. Then proceeded to grapple as well, again, revert back to what you're probably better at.
Do you think you're better at grappling?
Definitely. Unfortunately, I'm not the best kicker, especially in terms of Thai boxing.
Right.
And you'll see that with good Thai boxers as well. Is kicking's your biggest scoring criteria in Thai boxing.
Yeah.
Is to show effect where your kicks, punches don't score too great.
Oh, nice.
So obviously got the slight boxing background. Then accumulated slightly better kicks as you went, but also at 5'8", you're not kicking anybody else, being heavier for the weights as well. Not necessarily fat, hopefully. But the Thai guys are just they get taller and taller, even at 75 kilo.
Mm. Am I not right in saying you won your Thai fight though that you had?
Yeah,
I jump in last minute, or was that MMA?
That was MMA.
Right.
That was against the young Oscar at Sub Factory, who went from, he was at Urban Guerrillas, then went from there to Mops, went on an absolute tear. He seemed to fill it into his body even more as well. It's again phenomenal grappler. Everybody says a lot of nice things about Oscar as a grappler, and I think being under somebody like Mop and Gary and stuff is probably perfect environment for him.
Mm-hmm. Aye. And you won that fight. Was that a decision?
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision. It was on three days' notice. Also post the virus as well. The virus must not be mentioned. And that was it was like 45 minutes after that. I was like hanging on chairs. I couldn't go up the stairs back to the changing room, and I think it's the closest I've ever felt like I'm going to die. And again, I was kind of underestimated maybe what that was until you got hit with it and then tried to compete. And also no camp, and someone like Oscar who about knocked me out with the first shots he hit me with.
Oh really? I've not seen it, to be fair. Is it on YouTube?
I think I'll go on my phone. It may also be online.
Yep.
But I went to Rhythm Step, and as I went to Rhythm Step, he has just absolutely blasted me into oblivion. It was you'll see the big black eye photo that's kind of floating about and stuff. There's like Stuart on one side, Ronnie on the other, and I'm like sort of perched on them, almost looking like baffled as to what's just kind of happened for the last 9 minutes. And it was like my introduction to fighting
That's
MMA.
good though, you've done it though. You've had one more MMA fight than me, to be fair, so I'm not going to... And I don't think anybody could criticise, even if you lost, obviously you didn't, but you've had the balls to jump in and do that. You've done that now, you've got that under your belt. Do you think you'll maybe do it again? Or? Yeah,
definitely. I got aspirations to do Thai. That was trying to materialise end of last year and just didn't seem to happen. Got matched. Other team pulled their guy for some reason, then had to look for other matches on shows that were coming up towards that, and nothing was happening. But the Blackpool Open was then available, and me, Lewis, James, Aaron went down, and I caused a scene in Blackpool for all the right reasons, not being too boisterous. Everybody done really well, and an iconic venue as well.
It looked pretty impressive actually.
I don't know if you watch Strictly Come Dancing or not, but
I have
that's where that is.
Is it really?
That's where it is.
Nice, the ballroom.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was something I had to adjust to walking in, because you're used to Meadowbank or anything similar to Meadowbank seems to be the most common arenas that we get, and then you walk in there and it's like this 100 or 200 year old building, fancy facings, and psychologically I had to spend like half an hour just taking it in, because I'd prepared, they said iconic venue on the flyer, and you're thinking, sport jiu-jitsu, like the most iconic venues you get is maybe like a sports hall in Birmingham or something for the British. And then you've walked in, you've been like, alright, cool, so this is actually in the Blackpool Tower, like they were saying, this is actually quite an iconic place to be.
Definitely.
And just sat and sort of soaked it up, and I was like, right, cool, it's like we're good to go. That was good fun, good to get back out competing sport jiu-jitsu and do well as well.
And what medals did you pick?
Silver and gold. So I got second in one division, first in another, but again it was only one match, one walkover, one match.
Right.
The other one was Chris Hoban, who's a ASW, Manchester and Liverpool. He's at Wigan, he's the head coach there, and I think he's a British wrestling coach as well, level 3. I seen him weigh in as well, wee stocky wrestler looking guy, and I see where you just know where you see somebody like, he's in my division. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, I like to wrestle, but by no means I'm a wrestler as such. There's
I was
a
going to say your
difference.
wrestling's good, you're known for that.
Yeah, but again, compared to a wrestler, there's two very different demons there. And I seen him, I was like, oh no. Then there we are standing warming up, I'm looking over and watching him. And I'm like, going to dictate how the entire day goes. It's going to go really well, or it's going to go terrible. Fortunately, it went really well.
Good, mate.
What about yourself? You're out on ADCC.
Aye, Sunday. Be a week today, aye.
How do you feel you adapt with, obviously this is now opponent 3, am I right in saying?
Nah, just 2.
This is 2.
Aye.
The first guy was
Fabricio something for Roger Gracie's gym. I was just excited, looking forward to that.
A new challenge.
By black belt MMA guy, I think. So I was looking forward to that. He's pulled out with injury. So now I've got James Cogs for the Grip House. Decent guy.
Also previously competed and things like that as well in the past.
Aye, I've had James before at the Edinburgh Ultimate Blue Belt a long time ago. Subbed him with a Jap necktie. But obviously he's done a lot since then. I'm not underestimating James by any means. Great guy as well. I've always sort of kept in touch with James after that. So I should be good, mate. I don't know if the match will be before or after this gets, so maybe not say too much about it. But
do you change much up with your training and approach that? Do you just do you focus on you, and that you prepare so much that it doesn't matter what someone brings to the table?
I mean, I think if we've done a bit of research on somebody, then I'll maybe change it up a wee bit.
Put a bit of belief in Stevie to pick up on these things as you discuss it.
I just do what Stevie tells me to do, mate, to be honest.
It's probably for the best based on what happens when you roll him and that as well. So when you felt that kind, it's probably the best you just stay in line and do as Stevie says.
Well, one thing that's good for your confidence is nobody that you're competing against is going to be better than Ray, so
a lot of years of that as one of his main training partners in his gym, and probably one of the more, if not the most experienced guys that is there, out with some of the other guys that come and go a wee bit. You've been consistently there, consistently contributed all through the PFL thing and stuff like that as well. So again, it's deserved there, and again it's reflected in your jiu-jitsu ability as well. And it's probably been good for your journey as well as a coach, as a competitor, to have that role. It gives you something a wee bit more than just showing up, paying your membership, and just being someone else that's in the gym. And again, it'll come back full tilt as well, not only just in your skill, but obviously it probably makes you feel quite good as well with being too braggadocious and stuff. It's nice to have that place in what is arguably the most competitive gym in Fife.
Aye.
I wouldn't say there is. I would say that's why again I'll always make the effort to go there, not only to keep in touch with Stevie and you guys, but also because I want to get tapped, I want to lose rounds, I want to be like, that doesn't work in there, that's working every single other place I go to, in there that's not working.
That's good, man. Aye,
definitely.
So you've been around all the different gyms. In your opinion then, who do you think's the elite grappler in Fife then?
In Fife?
Aye, in Fife. There's a wee curveball.
Stevie.
You think so?
100%.
Definitely.
Do not ever. I never ever have a round where I'm like, that was actually alright. I done alright there. There's like brief glimmers of hope, and then something happens, and next thing you're either in a sub or you're just losing your soul. And then obviously downstream for that is like guys like yourselves got to be up there. It'd be rude not to get Ian Feenan his props, and obviously John as well. Again, John slightly older, and we've never had the experience of rolling like maybe prime John Humphreys. He's probably prime in terms of knowledge now, but body wise, as you'll maybe know yourself, there'll be niggles and stuff that linger as you push on an age.
What age are you now?
34.
Oh, you're 34? You're a good bit younger than me.
Is that 2 years of TRT age, isn't it? That's a Joe Rogan cut off that everybody says is I'm in my mid 30s now.
It's one thing that you've never been like shied away from is you're quite knowledgeable about that, and you've obviously done a lot of research on it. You promote it technically, don't you, as well? I mean, what would you be able to go into a wee bit about?
Definitely. I think the way, so again, a contrast and kind of opinion for a well-being perspective is like, you maybe know through your mum or anyone associated in your family, is that female menopause is quite well spoken about, and there's a lot of things in place for female hormone use, whether that be menopause clinics and blood work and things like that, whereas male suicide rates in men over 40 is astronomically high. But how many people, other than this kind of wave we're going through just now with male hormone use, how many men are like openly advocating it and speaking about it and stuff like that? And again, there's a lot of young men abusing it. Bodybuilding scene is notorious for it. But even the way professional bodybuilding is now, is these guys are being very open and transparent as to how little they're using at the top. Well, they might be lying, they could be, but if you listen to their coaches speak as well, they'll also tell you the exact same thing, that more drugs is not the option. It's like you've got to tightly regulate your blood work. And when it comes to, say, male health versus just the bodybuilding side of things, because again, it's not really what we're here to speak about is Mr. Olympia. They are the elite of the elite. Is that when it comes to male health, is all the males I work with that use and get regular blood work that are mid-30s, early 40s, seem to have transformed their life. So it's making their executive decision making better. So things that they maybe want to materialise in life, professional goals, personal goals, seems to be improving. There's no apparent health concerns as well when they're getting blood work done, and if there is, they're mitigating those by adjusting the dose or using things like supplements and stuff to offset negative side effects. And then there's obviously a moral dilemma that comes to it when you look at it with sport, where professional sports is rife with it as well. If you look at something like One Championship, Bellator and stuff, and maybe even some of the UFC guys, you can see why people are probably upset that the sport is that way, but it's also nothing new in sport as well. So again, it's a moral or ethical question as to if that's right or wrong. It's not really for me to say. I don't really have an opinion on it because it goes far beyond my pay grade. It's not something I can directly influence, but my concern would be more so about promoting good practice to people that it could save a life. If it can save someone's life or a group of people's life or improve their quality of life by providing good information, then I feel like it's a net positive, regardless of what people have got to think of me. The people will watch this and think positive things. The people will watch this and they'll think they'll have all the accusations under the sun. It's not going to change how I wake up, how I operate in my day-to-day life, and I'm still going to promote that as well.
Yep. Aye. Well, you've obviously done the research, you know the data on that as well, so you're not just going to come out and say that if you've not obviously spent adequate time looking into that. See, just a silly question, so when you say blood work, does that literally mean jagging testosterone?
So blood work would be getting like a blood panel done through somebody like, say, Medichecks or Balance My Hormones or any of these ones. Right. So I would get my bloods done, it would show me my male sex hormones. We also have what would be called female sex hormones in us, but it's not estradiol and stuff. It's basically estrogen that men have. Female also have testosterone. It's just the ratios change based on our sex characteristics. And that would show you if your blood work is in normative ranges, so is testosterone high or low, is your free androgen index, is it high or low, is your estradiol high as well. I actually had someone message me asking to look at their bloods and stuff, and again, to be clear that I'm not qualified, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not able to do that from a legality point of view, but I could also advise them that to maybe either follow up with someone like Medichecks to further investigate it. And this is not somebody that uses testosterone. This is not somebody that's on night shift or anything like that. They're like living quite a clean life. But just by having my platform has led to someone I've loosely associated with asking me, where should we go for this? In fact, it's not just one person, it's several. And again, asking things like, where's your sex drive, where's your libido at, and things like that, as well as then lefties posing questions that they have things they need to resolve or possibly medical intervention. If lifestyle can't accommodate it, then that's exactly why medicine's there. Love or hate medicine. Unfortunately, it's amazing, which is exactly why so many people feel good using testosterone.
Aye. You're right, it's just a sort of stigma thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's outdated really now, that like people like Joe Rogan that sort of brought it into the mainstream, that rather than, as long as it's not being like abused to the extremes, that it can be something that you can...
There's the roid rage fallacy. I think there's a bit of like a needle phobia, and in Scotland especially we tend to associate needles with heroin use, hard drug use, and obviously for testosterone the best way to administer would be some form of needle, intramuscular or into the fat subcutaneous. So again, you don't need to be going into the muscle, which would probably require larger needles because the muscles are thick, they're way more coarse, versus like fatty tissue, be more like maybe a insulin pen that a diabetic would use.
Yep.
And again, you're seeing the evolution of peptides as well for healing injuries, for everything, for like sleep and things like that as well. So again, it's another field that you're seeing catching up. That might then mean people can return to the mats quicker. They might be able to prevent mental health issues, if they've got sleep issues, libido issues again, all these other things you're seeing that are promoting a better quality of life, which I feel like is important to talk about more so than, oh, he's gaining more muscle and he's just armbarred somebody in the UFC because he's on gear. It's like, he probably would have armbarred them with or without the gear, and how are we then going to prove that this athlete at the top of the game is on gear just because he looks like an Adonis, he's chiselled. You did see the photo of Armin Sarukian?
Sarukian,
yeah, it was one where there was a bit of scepticism.
Do you think he looks like he's on gear there?
He looks better than I've ever looked in my life, and
it
may just be me who can't comprehend how someone could look like that as a natural athlete. But it could also be that he has a lot of financial wealth behind him, and maybe he trains in very remote places in the world, and these current testing agencies can't get there in the time that things could decay in half-life to get a clean sample, or to get a dirty sample.
Who's actually running that now though? They've not got you sad anymore, have they?
I think it's Ronald McDonald, I think. It seems a bit strange.
Really?
I have no idea though, again. I think it's still maybe Jeff Nowitzki as a independent entity with the UFC, I'm not sure. Do you know they also now can't publicly come out and say, oh, like Conor McGregor pissed hot for Anavar or whatever? It's kind of kept a wee bit more reserved and under the surface. Whereas previously you would see it all over the news and it would be quite made quite loud publicly.
Why is that then?
I think, did Yo Romero not get 27 million off them?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Another one that's in the natty or not list there.
Oh, fucking. It's a specimen, eh?
Genetics is the biggest determining factor of anything. Like you look at Stevie in peak condition when he was like 73 kilo. And you look at him now, he's probably similar weights to me, give or take a few kilos. We don't look the same standing together, unfortunately.
Who, Ray?
Yeah.
Ray.
He's absolutely solid. Like, and again, that's a professional athlete who has good genetics, incredible work ethic. And then you look at Francis Ngannou, somebody like that as well. Stevie Ray unfortunately doesn't look like Francis Ngannou, and neither do I, as much as we would potentially like to. His genetics is the biggest predetermining factor of how much muscle mass you'll express.
I think you're giving yourself enough credit, mate. I think you keep yourself no bad shape, to be fair.
I can only try and aspire to look like Francis when I fully grow into my body.
See, one thing I wanted to go back to is you were speaking about there, you said about testosterone potentially saving a life. Are you meaning because people are feeling suicidal because their testosterone's that low? Is that what you meant by that? Yeah.
And again, there's like testosterone rates are supposedly plummeting, as is male fertility. Testosterone's not going to aid male fertility, but some of the other peptides and stuff will, like HCG is known to increase testosterone as well, and that could be a shorter term drug that you could use to not only either improve fertility or increase your natural testosterone production and kickstart that. But again, if looking more towards like the save a life thing with testosterone, is there seems to be a large number of people I personally know that have killed themselves over 40 for whatever reasons. Could be drug related, could be life experience related, could be hormone related. But again, with regular blood work, we're possibly considering that if blood work is showing that, then you'll never really know.
So would you, if you had a client and they were considering using testosterone, would you put them forward to get the blood work done first then before they would?
I would always ask someone that's in a financial position to do blood work, regardless of testosterone use and things like that as well. I would never say, oh, you're over 40, maybe you should use testosterone. But if they've approached me and there's a lot of mental health concerns and stuff, if lifestyle intervention alone, like fixing your sleep, fixing your diet, maybe asking resourceful questions that could help them find some sort of meaning in whatever this experience is in life is not working, then I would probably guide them more towards looking at hormones and endocrinology side of things and working with someone who can legally prescribe that. I would never turn around to say something and be like, have you considered using testosterone? It's like, I would like to be qualified to that degree, but you have to be of a doctor level. It'd be a very interesting career path, but you're bound by law by the medical profession and stuff like that as well to be able to prescribe things like that.
What do you think about like natural testosterone boosters like that you're hearing about at the minute? Like like this Sheila Jet that I've got here, and
Tonga
Ali.
Rhodiola and things like that. I've used Tonga Ali. I thought that definitely works, seen increases in libido.
Yep.
I'm not sure how good it is because I've never done blood work and used it for a long duration of time, but I definitely think there is merit there. But the biggest thing that's going to boost your testosterone is going to be sleep, and it's boring. Unfortunately, everybody will maybe watch this and want like golden nuggets for supplements and the secret juice or whatever, but sleep's the one, and it's boring. It's like I set bedtime alarms, not that I ever abide to them. I often turn them off and push it for another half an hour. But I know for a fact that sleep is the one. If you have a good night's sleep, and you'll know yourself, you're a dad of two, is when the bairns started sleeping properly and stuff, is I guarantee your well-being, your life, your relationship and everything, probably everything just went shumph.
Aye, definitely, mate. It's tough for folk, I think, when they first have kids. It's a huge change.
I've been asking a lot of guys I work with as well as some of the women I work with as well, and just to see, because again there's fleeting thoughts. There's times I consider it, sometimes I wonder, is that a societal pressure? So I ask the dads, I ask the mums, and try and sort of get some answers as well, what it brings them as well, just to see. I've asked my own mum and stuff as well, and that's ended up in a bit of an argument, and she ended up throwing abuse at me.
Oh really?
Yeah. And then my response was exactly, now you know why I'm maybe on the fence about it as well. But again, it's something I wonder as what does it bring you? Everyone says like purpose is a big one, and a lot of people can't describe it. They just say it's amazing. And obviously you've got a wee boy and a wee girl. Aye. And both are like very much look quite a lot like yourself and your missus as well. You see a lot of those physical characteristics shine through. It's probably something that's like quite captivating as well. As that's a mini you. It's 50% you, 50% someone else. Maybe a wee bit more either side. That's probably why you'll find a wee girl will probably play you like a little fiddle, whereas a wee boy will maybe hold a wee grudge sometimes too, because you see a wee cheeky version of you.
He's definitely more hard work than she is, to be fair. He's crazy. So what was going to go back to the supplements then. So see let's start with you actually. So see, can you talk me through what you would like a normal day for you, supplement wise, your routine. A wee bit about like what you're doing with your business, obviously. Just sort of give us a wee sort of talk through like. So
business wise, it's predominantly lifestyle coaching I'm focusing on just now. I was working with a lot of athletes, really focusing on athletes and stuff, but it's quite a niche market, especially combat sports as well, as a fight camp could be anything from 4 to 12 weeks. And again, there's long periods in there, and you'll maybe know yourself as fighters when they're out of camp tend to get a wee bit chubby. Like the baddie gets very, very chubby out of camp. So again, there's these periods where it's quite hard to try and contain these guys, even if you're working them and stuff. And also, I would like to have reached a wider audience as well. So I started focusing more on the lifestyle side of things, and especially like busy professionals and stuff as well. You'll know guys that run businesses that are non-stop. Some guys are even having a lot of cardiovascular issues and things like that as well. So I would then tend to dive more into the lifestyle side of things with those, which would be addressing habits and things first building like a big rapport, almost like a conversation that will go on and on and on. We'll sit, we'll meet, I'll take notes. I'll then start to provide them with tools they can implement in their lifestyle that's going to hopefully have action pretty quick. Asking meaningful questions and stuff. The training and nutrition side of things is, again, every coach under the sun should be providing something to do with that. It'll be specialised to them, especially the meals as well, things you like to eat and whatnot. Training would be custom to the gym environment you're in. And that would be what I do largely on a day-to-day basis. Loads of communication. Biggest thing for me that's reflective in the prices of communication is speaking to them. The training and nutrition side of things, although it's a large part of it as well, it's not as time consuming as actually having a conversation with somebody and building a proper relationship as well. But for myself on a day-to-day basis, big things that I do and put into my body is, first things I always wake up and it's water. Just try and get up as close as I can with snoozing the alarm, which again sometimes is tough, especially with winter seasons and stuff as well. If it's pushing down outside, it's not ideal. But first thing's got to be water, and more recently I've been adding in a lot more salt into my diet as well, and my creatine, just because it's an easy one just to throw in. 4 out of 10 people are allegedly non-responders to creatine, which could mean if you take creatine for a period of time and your body mass doesn't go up, your body weight doesn't go up, you're probably a non-responder, so it's no use for you If you find it to be of benefit, keep it in. If not, remove it, because it's £50 a kilo for good stuff. And then that's how I would start my day, would be some sort of hydration. Usually then I'll get some sort of caffeine in me as well. As a self-confessed addict, as the caffeine seems to be the one that helps me interact with the world at large. And I will then start to tuck into some work. I'll lay out my day, my tasks, then I'll go a walk, try and get around to Town Hall Lock or something like that, get the steps in. Again, something else I've added in the last 6 months, just because I've seen that there would be days step count was low. Although my exercise volume's sky high, go to the gym and everything like that, it's easy. It's like grappling, Thai boxing and lifting weights. That's the rewarding part of the day. It's not really hard to go there and put your body through that hardship, whereas getting the steps in and doing the smaller tasks was something I've really focused on in the last year. And also, if I'm working with you and I'm trying to tell you to do it and I'm not doing it, then I'm a hypocrite. It's not going to sound great. Oh, where do you go for your walks? Well, actually, I don't. They'd be like, so why am I doing it? Then I would probably always break my fast with protein as much as I could get in one sitting, which would generally be like a 50 gram pot of protein yogurt. If I can, and there's good fruits in season or available in Lidl or whatever, as I'll then also incorporate that as well. That would be me until late lunch.
What time is that you're breaking your fast then?
If I'm starving, like there'll be days you wake up and you're absolutely starving from previous night's training, or if you're calorie counting and things as well, it would be near on upon waking with a coffee. But usually I'd like to go my walk and stuff first, like that, just being a little bit empty, also building up some sort of an appetite, getting my body moving. But again, you're then prolonging the window without protein, which is basically building blocks for growing and repairing. So again, you could be slightly catabolic, and what I mean by that is that you would be eating your own tissue to sustain what your body needs that for other processes, which could just be to repair a cut or something you've got at jiu-jitsu the night before. Your body, if you're not meeting your protein demands, will then look to take it from where it's not needed, which would probably be excessive amounts of muscle mass, unfortunately.
So would you not be an advocate at all for fasting then?
If it works for you, I would say keep it in. But if you're finding you're trying to fast and it's disrupting you and things like that as well in your day-to-day, I would say you're probably going to get more net negatives from it than you would if you're just eating a normal schedule.
Right.
For athletes, I would say it's terrible.
Right.
And somebody like yourself who's got a manual job, who's doing things like this and is also running classes, training at the gym, looking to compete, is there's going to be no benefit for you other than it might make you feel good when you're hungry because you're in fight or flight.
Right.
If you're in fight or flight, you're producing more adrenaline. If you're producing more adrenaline, you're more stressed. If you're more stressed, you're producing more cortisol, and that then might be negatively impacting your health as well.
Aye. Well, you've seen the data that, well, I don't know if it's data, but you'll be able to debunk this, but you see stuff going about from, I'm sure I've seen it on somebody talking about it on a podcast, but you see stuff back and forward on Instagram about doing like a 3 or 4 day fast, about how it can repair your body, and you can do all these like superhuman benefits.
Autophagy. Autophagy is like the hot word just now, which is like they say like activating stem cells and things like that. And the most recent studies that we're seeing, that's from very good research labs and things like that as well, you're seeing, if me and you were the research participants, and it's randomised control trials, so we've not been chosen to go into any one group, they've randomised it. It's like, right, Jamie's in fasting, Dean is in calorie controlled, so the food intake that we both have that day is 2,000 calories. You fast for 18 and 4, in your 4 hour window you eat your 2,000 calories. I eat when I want, but I also have to eat 2,000 calories, and we'll match the protein intake and other macronutrients for that, so carbohydrates, fats, possibly fibre. At the end of the study, what they find is that the blood markers for autophagy, this superpower that you're seeing flown about social media, is unchanged. So it doesn't matter if you track your calories on MyFitnessPal, LifeSum or anything like that, and you meet that protein target for the day and other macronutrients, versus you starving yourself for 20 hours then eating in a 4 hour window, is the blood markers remain unchanged. So does fasting really give you these benefits, or is it that it allows you to restrict food within a certain window of time and then get the benefits that you would get through just tracking your calories and eating at leisure.
It's maybe just because if they, like the example you gave there, fasting for 20 hours, you're going to struggle to eat 2,000 calories in 4 hours. So it's maybe just that they're meaning, but it doesn't sound like much fun.
It was something I'd done. So again, like a couple of years ago, I thought it would be good to do Ramadan, not because I'm religious or anything. I just thought it's quite a controversial thing. It would help me break down barriers with other cultures that in the Western world either clash a lot, especially more recently you're seeing that as well as it's quite an interesting time of year when you see how the Islamic culture operates during that period as well. It was interesting, so I thought I would try it. Not that I wanted to convert to a religion, I just wanted to see what is the experience of a month of hyper restriction, like no food, no water. And one thing you would find is when you were unleashed on food is that it didn't digest properly. As the eating window shifts with the sunset during Ramadan as well, you would either be eating earlier or later depending on which one you were looking at, and it tended to get later and later, and it got tougher and tougher to adhere to it and stuff as well. That on top of kicking coffee for a month as well was absolutely torture.
Is that part of it?
It was just because if you were eating at like 10 or 11 at night, to put that much caffeine in your body before bed was...
Right, because obviously it's water as well, you said, I don't know if I'd be up for that.
There's times I would like rinse my mouth out with water just because you had like that much of a dry mouth at certain times. But again, I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to ride it to the end. But it was very, very tough. It made me admire that people do it for so many years, like their entire life, their faith revolves around it and stuff. Some people don't. Some people obviously don't do it, even if they're faithful or not. But it was just nice to experience, and I feel like it gave me a better opinion of something like fasting as well. Although you would drink water when you were on a fast as well, you would never restrict to that degree if you were on say a 20 and 4, 16 and 8. But again, you start to see your body's not digesting the food properly. So again, are you going to utilise those nutrients you put in your body through a hyper restrictive window for something like autophagy? Probably not. Is your goal to build muscle? It's probably best that you don't fast.
You heard what they're saying about doing the fast for like 3 days straight?
Yeah.
They're saying, I think, that by the third day, this is supposed to be this golden, like where it can repair your body or these magical things. I'm sure they were actually claiming that it could actually start fighting cancer and everything. Are you seeing all this sort of stuff?
I wonder with something like that as well, if these people that are that way inclined, if they were to try restricting calories and counting in that as well, would they see similar benefits? Because the research should show it. It should show it based on the blood markers, like that study I'd mentioned was shown, but it doesn't seem to be showing it in the most controlled environment that we're able to study as humans, which is ultimately what science is for. People think like an industry will influence science. Pharmaceuticals are a prime candidate for that. But the people that are actually partaking in studies for fun, which would be university students or me or you, and sometimes you get £150 for it, is you can't control them, unfortunately, for months and years at a time. So there's always that argument to refute. But even when they're doing it over this period of, say, a week, you're not seeing it in the blood work. These people are saying they're curing cancers and stuff like that as well. There should be a long list of them that keep popping up, not just Instagram reels like they should be, like Wim Hof. Yep. He's a bit of a medical marvel in what he can achieve, whether he's just an average guy or not is up for debate. And also somebody died doing one of his retreats and stuff as well recently. Really? So again, he probably is a bit of an outlier in that as well.
Aye. He's big in his ice baths and all that stuff. What do you think about that? What's the data say about it?
It's not good for anything other than making you feel cold and increasing adrenaline. So if you think you need more adrenaline and more stress in your life to make your day-to-day activities easier, then it could be good for you. If you've got, say, maybe more of a fortunate background and you can afford to go in cold water at certain periods and stuff as well, or you just like a challenge. Again, if you like to put yourself through hardships and you feel it builds resilience, then you might find that might improve your quality of life.
Like a mental toughness test.
For me, I find I just end up cold for about 8 hours after that. My hands and that are still purple. I stopped doing it for that reason. I was like, don't think that's great for me. But loads of other people say they feel amazing. It's changed their life. Again, one that seems to have counteracted a lot of depressive symptoms and stuff as well. And for that alone, I feel like it holds merit. I prefer hot heat, so I prefer sauna. I also feel like sauna gives me more benefits, but it's also something that It could just be because I like being warm and sweating's a consequence of that.
For relaxing.
Exactly that. But it doesn't promote muscle growth or anything like that, unfortunately.
Right. So when would you recommend the best time to use the sauna then? Would it be after training? Would it be on your rest days? What do you think? The
thing is with rest can be one of two things. It can be active, quote unquote active, or passive. Passive rest is sleep or lying still. It's what you'll find probably Stevie was doing when he was in camp and stuff. He would go train in the morning, come home, chill, sleep, eat, go train, come home, sleep. Like that's true rest. It's what the Dagestanis and stuff are big on as well if they're in camp is proper rest, is sleeping. Passive rest is that. Active rest would be getting your steps in, going for a walk. But ultimately it's still active. A sauna is active. It is not really rest as such. It may help you feel more rested and more recovered. But if you look at what it's doing, it's elevating your heart rate, it's making your body sweat, you're losing fluids, you're losing minerals. It's debatable as to whether you could call it recovery, but you may also use it as a recovery aid because it makes you feel more relaxed.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to ask you about is one thing that you have been speaking about the benefits is Aerofit.
Yeah, I brought my Aerofit along as well. I thought it would be worthwhile bringing because you'd asked. I had the version 1 Aerofit for, I think it must be maybe 4 years ago. It's a Christmas present as well, and probably one of the better Christmas presents I've had alongside my Oura Ring, also a Christmas present as well. But basically a respiratory trainer that has 6 valves on either side, changeable mouthpiece, removable battery device and stuff as well. Starts to flash when you turn it on. This is the second one, also very cool colours. I think I like them because it's a wee bit thematic of black box as well. I had the red and
nice.
The red and black before. And one set of valves is for inspiration, breathing in. So it goes from A to F and it will change in the restriction that you feel. So F being the hardest, A being the least. Yep. And then on the other side is for when you're breathing out or your expiratory pressure for 1 to 6. Again, there may be somebody for you guys to talk with as well because they were very, very friendly with me when they reached out for this, the second one as well. Yeah. And you see they're working with like Alistair Overeem and all these athletes. Marvin Vittori was who I first seen it with.
Right.
I seen him on an embedded using it and he was saying how good it was. And I was saying to you prior to the podcast is I bought it or I got given it because I was fascinated with what it could do based on the science. As an app, it's deeply rooted in science and it will not only improve your ability for your lungs to tolerate carbon dioxide and stuff as well, but I was saying like all those wee niggles you get, for me it's like neck, lower back and stuff. When I'm using that routine and regularly every day, is that I'll see big changes in the perception of pain in those areas as well. And although we'll exercise an hour or so a day or whatever, I don't feel like you're getting the same depth of breathing that you are with that. It's very much guiding you through a program on the app. It's giving you different things to do each day. Some are more active, where you will be sweating, you'll be holding your breath, and at times you feel like you're possibly drowning until you become accustomed to it to tolerate the CO2, much like hard rounds of rolling. As if you've ever had hard rounds of rolling, there's times you feel like you're drowning, especially when somebody's significantly better than you, as it helps with the tolerance for things like that. And then it also has more relaxation programs on it as well, so it could be like more for meditation or just for calming your nervous system after a heavy session as well. Aye.
Is that what you were using then after training?
Yeah.
You said you were doing a bit of meditation.
After the rounds a day, I was absolutely fired up and went back, and it was just a few minutes on the relaxation setting of that, and it's specific breathing patterns. So it could be 4 second inhale, 4 second hold, 4 second exhale, triangle breathing. It could be box breathing where there's 2 breath holds in it. And it could just be like a freedom where you're inhaling and exhaling, and you also get to see all that on screen on the app. It'll track your analytics for it over time, and you'll be able to see, does this work or no? Am I improving or am I at capacity? And all I've seen is it improves. It will go back the way if I stop using it. And again, there's periods where I haven't used it, and when days of using it again, I'll see that my lung volume and stuff improves.
How long? In terms of like time, how much time is it a day that you spend using that? Then
you could do, so you get your daily lung test. So if you want it to be daily, you could do that weekly as well with the new software and new device. So I could do that once a week for a lung test, which is 3 minutes. I'm tending to do them daily. Just again, I enjoy seeing the data. It's very much what I lean into. But for the programs themselves, they could be anything from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. Depends on how much time you have available as well.
That's not bad, 10 minutes.
It's fine now.
Everybody's got 10 minutes a day.
If you make a coffee, you wake up, turn the kettle on or whatever, it's just plug and go and away you go.
You do it first thing in the morning then, is that
Try
your routine?
I've left it beside the coffee machine. If I can make a coffee, then I can make
is that
the
the trigger?
Aye. There is some things that it slides to the side and the coffee still gets made.
If you're not a morning person, I bet you think, maybe not right now.
What would you find, Julian? Are you morning person?
Nah, I need my caffeine in the morning.
Even with being a dad and stuff like that as well, did you find?
Well, I mean, I'm up at 6, but I mean, trying to navigate them at the door isn't easy. I'm ready. I've got everybody prepared.
You got someone that's trying to at the age where they could dress himself and that as well.
Well, my wee girl's alright, but she just doesn't obviously really want to do it.
The concept of time as well.
She doesn't really. She's just that age, She wants to stay up late, but doesn't want to get up in the morning.
Do you like to stay up late and that when you have the time off or stuff like that? You're early to bed as well?
Mate, I've basically, if I'm not training, I'll basically be putting the kids to bed. I'll probably fall asleep beside them, wake up all groggy, and then just go straight to sleep. So you'll be lucky if I'm ever awake past 10 o'clock.
Do you find being a parent has instilled a bit more of that in you as well? There's less freedom to be staying up all night.
Oh, definitely. So, but that's why I think I've always been able to stick to training, because if I don't go to training, I'm in the house, and obviously I love the kids, it's not that, but you do need time to be you.
I think people get caught up in being dad or being mum, and everybody refers to them as dad or to mum, and you lose your identity a wee bit. Whereas, although jiu-jitsu is not your complete identity, it's a big part of what makes you tick it. It keeps you sane, if you will.
An expression that somebody said to me was, "You can't pour from an empty cup." And I think that's brilliant. It totally makes sense. If you're just emptying your cup all the time, there's not going to be anything left to pour. So you've got to be a wee bit selfish in that sense that this is my routine. I'm training on a Monday, Thursday, and every Sunday. My wife's great with that. To be fair, I've got a pretty easy going wife, to be fair. The kids didn't understand it that much. They're howling normally when you're going out the door. But you've got to have a wee bit of time yourself. I'm sure you'll have clients that are probably in the same boat. They've got kids, but they're trying to better themselves. They're trying to keep themselves healthy. Because a lot of people, though, it's not just about like having fun, it's about actually keeping yourself like healthy for them as well.
Definitely. And you're leading by example. You would like probably them to at least try some sort of martial art, whether it be grappling, whether it be Thai boxing or anything. You would like them to be able to defend themselves first and foremost. Also learn the skills that martial arts gives you. I feel like it's very much the cliche samurai thing, where it's like everybody leans into that, the Bushido, the Kaizen, whatever it is people very much lean into that when they get engrossed in grappling or whatever it may be. And then Thai boxing has its own thing going on. It's one thing you see maybe boxing lacks is that spiritual element of it, if you will. We've gone too out there on that front as well. It's interpreted wrong, a lot of things, spirituality. But as that alone is, you could achieve anything you want. Like without grappling and stuff, you may never have bothered to start this, and then you look at how it's going again. It was very complimentary prior to this as well. It's cool to see. It's cool to see somebody take that wee leap, and I feel like maybe martial arts have maybe helped facilitate that as well.
Definitely there's a lot for your confidence. I mean, speaking of content, I love what you do. Brilliant, like your content that you put out. You're clearly popular, and people are obviously getting your niche that you're doing. But before we get into that, you started off as a roofer.
I believe, were you at the council as well?
Yes, I've done my time with the council.
I'd done some zany things at the council as well. Like, as you'd said, there was obviously a wee bit miserable when I was there. And sometimes I poke holes in what I was like when I was there, not so much at other roofers and stuff, because it's a craft, like any trade. There's people that are good at it, that are phenomenal at it. And it was also how I knew that I was not destined to do that. It's like never quite fitting in the squad mentality, although I was dealing with the boys and stuff, and some of us would go out on nights out and stuff. I was miserable. I was doing like things I was doing. I would leave the old Fitness Factor gym, which is just round the corner from where you are. I would leave there, and I would be eating like space cakes at like 9 at night, which again is not the smartest to move. By the time I'm getting home, I'm already in orbit. But again, it was the misery of what was coming the next day. It was like, I have this small window where I've trained, I've had a great time, I'm pushing that sort of side of self-development. And then for this last couple of remaining hours of the night, I'm just going to numb whatever I'm dreading going out to in the morning. And same would happen at weekends as well. It would be like 2-3 days, potentially 4 days if you had a Friday off. It just, no sleep, partying, tunes, club nights, going over Scotland and seeing DJs and stuff, which was great. But again, it's like, as I'd said, with the way people I know that have committed suicide and stuff as well, very similar circles and stuff, or they just can't seem to give that up as well. As something has to be missing if that's your immediate go-to. And again, I'm very open as I have things I like to do in my free time, whether that be travel to Amsterdam, go to festivals and everything that lifestyle encompasses, with rubbing it in people's faces. But if that's your default, is then you have some questions to ask as well. And again, every adult should be able to do what they want to do. Like if I want to eat space cakes 3 days in a row, then as an adult I definitely will, and nobody will tell me any different. But if it's like, say, a Monday tea time and you're blasting yourself into orbit, is like maybe then need to ask those questions of, am I getting fulfillment on this journey? Which then obviously led to me leaving. I actually met a Dutch guy in the middle of the festival. I was sitting in like, it's an old gas chamber. I was sitting up the back on these like seats, like fireworks going off inside and stuff. You're just watching it like, how has this cost me 40 quid? Like, it's an absolute bargain. And in the middle of Amsterdam at New Year, my mate's sitting next to me. He's not saying too much. He never used to say much at all. He was just like a passenger on the journey. And I'm there, I'm like happy I'm in my own company anyway. And this Dutch guy sat next to me, got yapping and stuff. He's gave me his email address after like a couple of hours of chatting about whatever. Start messaging back and forward and stuff. I'm like, I fucking hate this job. Like, it's fucking pish. Money's pish. People I work with are pish. The weather's pish. Everything's pish. And he's like, leave. And I was like, I can't. He's like, why not? And I was like, I can't afford to. He was like, what funding is available in your country for what you're interested in doing? Like, what are you interested in doing? I was like, nutrition, whatever. I do a wee bit of grappling and stuff.
So you knew you were interested in that at this point?
Yeah. It was mostly through jiu-jitsu. Because you know yourself, you eat a fish supper and go to training. How do you feel? Not the best.
You can't do that.
You eat like fruit, sweeties, whatever. You go to training, you got loads of energy, loads of carbohydrates in you. So I knew. So then I started to like delve into magazines and books and be like, how can I be better at this jiu-jitsu thing without getting leathered off somebody that's about 6 stone? It turned out that not eating chippies and stuff before it was maybe the root of the cause. And Ronald, Dutch guy, was saying to me basically, leave. And I was like, I can't have money. And he was like, find out what funding's available. So contacted Fife College and stuff. They're like, basically, you've not got the school grades you need, because I left school at 16, done a construction course, walked into a job at Fife Council as a roofer because probably nobody else in Fife wanted to do it. Funnily enough, got knocked back for plumbing. I don't know if you maybe cut my grass on that one. And joinery is, again, hot to trot as, and you have to be in there quick or know somebody. And got the job, started doing it, and that was like, didn't know for day one, didn't like it, but I thought, I'll probably like it 10 years from now, 15 years from now. That obviously cascaded and got worse. Then by the time of leaving and stuff as well, I was like milking the sick and stuff, just lazy, useless bastard, like not a good person to have as an employee, and also didn't care, because it didn't matter. I was like, I'll numb myself at the weekend, through the week we'll make more of these funky muffins, and that'll keep me good until such times.
How long did you last?
I think in total I done 9 years on the roofs, I think. But at the council, I believe it was must have been about maybe 7 or 8 4-year apprenticeship. Great fun on the maintenance. As you'll know, like, the maintenance is like all this tour Fife and pretend that we're going to fix 3 tiles here. Contracts is like Auschwitz. Like you are grafting for not very much money. Then eventually patched it and done a life sciences course because I didn't have the school grades. I needed to go direct into university. And that was like a fast track course for older people in education. So I was mid-20s then. I was like, cool, I'm an older person in education. Fair enough. Done really well on that. That was like biology, chemistry, maths, physics and stuff. That was good fun. Then went directly into university for a sport and exercise science degree. And by that point, as soon as I started college, I'd already started the Primitiv Evolve page and stuff, but never took on any clients until I was coming out of 4th year. So I'd built this thing that was Primitiv Evolve, and it's just transcended for then, which has been, it's interesting now, because people see it comps and they'll be like, you're Primitiv Evolve. And I'm like, the first time it happened, I was like, sort of taken aback. I was like, I guess I am, And they're like, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And now, like Stuart, the one's Black Box says, people speak about me, but because I don't publicise my name a lot, is they'll be like, that Primitiv Evolve guy and that. And it's like, it's cool, it's very cool. I'm interested also to see what can happen out of it. It may stay where it is. And if it does, then it's doing very well. It's good. More than paying the bills, and you wake up happy, which I think is the most important thing.
Definitely.
Not every day is sunshine and rainbows in life. Like, no matter what life throws you, it's not going to be amazing every day. It's not meant to be.
Well, you're self-employed as well, so everything's falling on your shoulders. You can't afford to have too much time off, or you might start falling behind.
And also, there's times you're looking at your business account and you're like, fuck, it's like, where did all the money go? And then your accountant's like, do HMRC X thousands of pounds, and you're like, I was like, I thought I was rich. Turns out I was spending my tax bill.
It's not much fun paying the taxes, is it?
But again, things like Mons, like, you just put it in a pot and try not to spend it, and also find your ways around business expenses and stuff, things that may improve your quality of life as well.
So do you do all your own editing, everything that we see on Primitiv?
I'll use like some AI tools as well. Again, very open, like everybody should be more receptive to these things that are in that niche.
Well, they look great though, so what does it matter?
And again, it's like, what is AI? Because it now, if you look at your iPhone and stuff, it's very much AI that's running your phone. When you've got to finish a sentence, it's finishing it for you. And for some of the editing, like I'll do loads of the cutting and stuff. Obviously, you'll be aware I'm looking to do longer form YouTube videos as well this year. And again, I'll be fully exploiting the likes of AI to help me condense those clips. Unfortunately, I don't have a young Callum, handsome man that he is. As hopefully one day I will. Or a Declan, as we were saying about James Smith. But again, those tools are there to be exploited, and they're only going to get better. And as a content creator, a business owner, it makes life a lot easier.
And as time goes past, you're going to get more experience. You're going to have more data. Everything that you're doing, you're learning for what works and what doesn't work in terms of your content as well. And I can only see it getting better for you, mate.
Much like this, it's been very cool to see the development as well. It's nice actually to be on it this early, because I feel like the trajectory of it is only up. It can only be up with the effort you're putting in. You're not really leaving any stone unturned. I see it with the interaction online. That's why you're very busy. Like, a lot of people aren't going to see that. They're just going to think you're that mad cunt G that's just trying his hand at a podcast. Whereas I use social media so much that I see loads of things. I pay attention to a lot of things. It's like my best trait, my whatever neurodivergency I possess is I'm like paying attention to everything. So when I see these things, I will raise it to you and also let you know that other people see it. And that alone is enough. That maybe one keeps you going, two, you also know it's not going unnoticed, which keeps this going up. Because again, I feel like it's a great asset for the Scottish podcast community.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. They came what to say that.
That's all right.
Change the subject a wee bit. Can we? I'm just checking my notes with what I had there. What about plant medicines? Was one thing I was wanting to ask you about. Obviously, when I knew you were coming on, I always do a wee bit of research and look at some of the topics that you know that your expertise is in. Plant medicines, then.
And again, you've got some sitting there as the mushroom complex that he's been given by Holistics. I think these are amazing, the way the mushroom culture and stuff's going as well, with tinctures like that, obviously non-psychoactive, fully legal, to things like psilocybin as well, which for me has been a good tool to have fun at times, and also a good tool for letting out some emotions that are maybe repressed and things as well from life experiences or just things you've kind of kept to yourself, whereas things like that I feel will drag it out of you. Maybe not non-psychoactive ones, but definitely psilocybin in itself is even like today, I would happily admit that I've microdosed. I feel like I'm speaking quite well, and amongst the copious amounts of caffeine and post jiu-jitsu buzz, there's a lot going on in the system. But nonetheless, I feel like it helps me express myself a lot better. Not that I struggle, but communication's been something I've definitely had to work on. It was a big focus in part of my degree, and also as a business owner, is trying to slow down a little bit as somebody who thinks quite fast, to try and speak better. I have to be a certain person in gym environments and stuff now as well. I can't, as much as I'll come on here and laugh about like the space cake antics and stuff, as I'll not try and be that persona too much, that laddish lad, ha. It helps me kind of have a bit more of a level head on things like that, or look at it as to the path that I want people to view me in as well, not just some idiot who likes to go to raves and stuff like that as well, and the ha mentality that comes with it, because it's not fun. It is, you should be pushing for the best you can achieve. And I would say they've definitely helped me. I would say the history of them, if you look at things like ayahuasca or DMT and stuff as well, tend to bring people more good. If not, they might surface things that people need to work on. And again, they may also trigger mental health conditions if somebody has them underlying as well. So if you know that's in your family and stuff, you should probably think twice if that's the path you feel like you're going towards. And also, I will wholeheartedly say I don't think all drugs as such are bad, if you want to call them that, as like when they're using these things in research settings to improve military veterans' lives, to improve addiction rates, is the word drugs thrown around a lot. Is like, do you drink coffee? Do you drink coffee daily? So are you a drug addict? Are you a waster? Oh no, that one's acceptable because we could walk down Dunfermline High Street right now and drink as much as we wanted until we give ourselves a heart attack. Whereas with these ones, is it interfering in my day-to-day life? Am I harmful to myself? Am I harmful to others? So why some self-help guru trying to tell me what should be happening with my body, my time, if I feel like it benefits me? And again, another thing to speak publicly about as well, I think, is it holds merit. Because if it's net positive for me, which it seems to have been with things that are from the earth, then I would much rather that people heard my experience than somebody who maybe doesn't have that depth of experience. And it's also brought people into my life as well that will probably be here for good. I met a Scottish guy who's married to a Peruvian woman, and they run like ayahuasca retreats and men's mental health retreats and stuff like that, like men's workshops. And I've transformed lives of people all over the world. So again, if these things are that bad, why are these people managing to save so many people's lives?
Have you done the ayahuasca retreat?
No. That's one thing I would very much like to do. I'm like waiting until either the signs are there that it feels right. But there's a guy that was put in my path, Scottish guy, the shaman I'm speaking about. Randomly, somebody messaged me in the jiu-jitsu community and grappling community. I'll name them just in case, but they says, I think I have somebody you'd like to meet. I was like, alright. It's like, fair enough. I was like, who? And they're like, basically he's like a teacher, he's doing like a bit of coaching and stuff as well, more like plant medicine orientated and whatnot. I was like, let's do it, like, nothing to lose here. Put me in touch with him. Guy met me, took me for lunch and that. Wasn't trying to sell me anything, just for some reason wanted to meet me, get a chat and whatnot. And even still to this day, we've trained together several times and stuff. He's also into jiu-jitsu and stuff as well. Reaches out to me at like really weird times. The last time I met him was like, there was a wee phase I was going through that was more down than up. But again, I was able to control it. My self-talk and stuff wasn't perpetually negative, but it was a wee period, and as men do, they tend to withdraw and keep things to themselves, where I was like very much meeting friction. Randomly messaged me and stuff. He's like, you want to go train? I was like, cool, when? Right, set a date, went, met him and stuff. Went for lunch and that after we trained and stuff. Left that and it was like, gone. Again, it was just like, maybe it was just I needed that conversation with the right person. I never brought it to him. I just talked much like this. We would talk about jiu-jitsu and when he's next back in Peru and things like that, and how he's evolving as a teacher that's doing these things, because he was doing it and then stopped, then went back to Peru and Colombia for long durations of time, doing the medicine, studying under certain teachers and stuff, which again with the people that are out there is ingrained in their culture through generation after generation after generation. And that last conversation I had with him face to face was interesting because, again, it wasn't a great period. And I left and it was gone. And that's I messaged him and says, yeah, again, very special person who has some sort of talents. You can't scientifically quantify that and say he's anything other than who he is. But it was interesting. Again, there's some people that you're around and their energy just rubs off on you. Energy is one of these ones where like, oh, he's like woke woo woo. Is there some people you're around and you're just like, something's off. And then there's other people where you leave and your energy, you're uplifted by whatever wisdom they've instilled on you. And again, he's definitely one of them. And it's someday I would feel like I owe it to him to experience that with him as well. Because again, it's weird how he's put there. There's many other avenues I could go to do that. And he's definitely something I feel like I would like to contribute towards helping me on whatever it is I'm trying to work through the experience of life.
Well, the good thing is he knows you, so he'll be able to guide you through the whole sermon as well.
And we've got the language and cultural barrier that we can see eye to eye on, both being Scottish, but he's also married to somebody who's deeply connected to the roots of that plant medicine as well. They actually own, I believe it's called Native Wisdom, which is like an Instagram page and things like that. In fact, he sponsors the gym.
I was just talking to him yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
He messaged me yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I forgot actually as well, because he reached out to me and says to me, and actually told me to sing his praises to Stevie, but I don't think I need to. His personality shines through in small gestures like that.
But we really appreciate the support that we're getting. I said that to him yesterday as well.
That's what it is. So you'll know as well,
that's cool, right? Cool, class, It's funny that he spoke to me yesterday as well,
He's a good guy, a very good guy. And that's again, nothing is ever for financial gain or anything like that as well. As everything is very much, it's just who he is. It shines through. Like we went for lunch and that last time purely because he likes me and I like him. It was never about like, so when are you doing it? It's never ever like that.
Have you heard about is it frog poisoning or something?
Is it Campbell?
Campbell,
I've never done it.
No.
I reckon I would. It's one where I look at it and somebody's face balloons up and that I'm like,
brutal,
I'm not going to be the one that kicks a bucket mid-Campbell.
I
don't think people do the well.
No, I don't think so. No, obviously no. Well, maybe there's the chance of it happening, but for what I've heard about it, it sounds like it would be hell, but everybody says, will change your whole look on life after it.
Definitely.
If it's anything like psilocybin, I've only ever done that once, and for me, it wasn't obviously very much. It was like a gram maybe. Yeah. But I felt like after that, like my whole look on life changed. It's almost like you've got an understanding of something that you didn't have before.
Yeah. So the next day, you wake up and you're like, like refreshed. It's like a weight lifted somewhere. And again, I think they're showing, and the research is showing, it's activating different neural pathways. And also, I believe it's activating regions of your brain that you wouldn't normally access when fully conscious and things as well. Again, it's a wee bit out of my depth to speak about to that magnitude. But from a mental health perspective, they're also managing to remove the psychoactive component, so the bit that makes you see whatever you see whilst intoxicated, and just give you the other benefits, the things you feel when you're on it, the after experience and things like that as well. So you're now seeing from a medical perspective as well, because not everybody wants to go to the middle of the Amazon jungle and be in a tent and be spewing and shitting and facing the demons of their life coming back at them full tilt, as they would like to just take something in a medical environment or out with that and gain the benefits that we all seem to get from these things.
Cool. One thing we've not spoke about, which I know is a big passion of yours, is that you do a bit of DJing as well, don't you?
Definitely. I try. I would like to be better, but again, it's most of my time goes towards martial arts and working probably at the forefront, training and stuff as well, closely at the back. DJing is definitely something I like for a creative outlet as well. I've actually crossed paths with young Callum at a gig once or twice before as well. Which is it's one of the ones which is it's good when you see people that you know, things like that as well.
Cool.
I think I was maybe playing that one or maybe just spectating just down in Dunfermline Town Centre. But that's something I would love to try and expand on. As much like hosting a seminar as you would probably have seminars of people you would enjoy rolling with or training. I feel like DJing's like that as well, as you will book people that resonate with you, that you enjoy watching or going to see and things like that as well. And I'll travel the world for that, much like jiu-jitsu and Thai boxing. I will go to any corner of the world to experience that.
So do you create your own music, or are you just purely mixing?
Yeah, but it's mostly mixing. The mixing's nice, it's easy, you turn it on, memory sticks in, away you go. Have turntables as well, but the art of playing records and stuff is very, very difficult. I made the mistake of buying silly amounts of records before I could actually play, and you really have to like know each song inside out, because you can't see the waveform of the music. So where it's vocals, where it's a bass line or whatever, you can just see the record and the speed and stuff. You have to align the speeds and then mix it so the kick drums would be in sync, or the percussion or whatever.
That's the only way I know how to do it, is the records. I couldn't use the...
Did you do it anything yourself?
Oh, back in the day,
did you? Yes.
Back in the day, mate. It was vinyl, So you just have a case of preparing it in your headphones and just...
know your record box.
And then before you're ready to bring it in, but it's probably nothing like what you're talking about. Just talking about...
Even at that as well, though, it's like just bedroom DJing, getting to play wee gigs and stuff, to be able to play something.
You could physically turn to speed it up if you're just not quite bang on. You could turn the wee thing just to get the beat. Just if it's starting to slip, you could...
I never knew you'd done wee bits and pieces as well. It's good fun.
Quite embarrassing actually, but...
Bring it back.
It's good fun.
Reignite the flame.
So now when I see like what people have got now, I've seen like it's like a turntable, but it's digital, so
like
you can still like physically move it to, like I was saying.
They replicate vinyl quite well as well. You can have them on a vinyl setting as well, so your platter and stuff as well feels like vinyl versus the digital way, which it doesn't react the same. And then you're just playing files, which is quite easy for travelling and stuff. I travel with a memory stick versus I travel with a box of records. It's very different now.
Especially moving the actual turntables a bit as well.
Yeah.
And the problem you've got with the needles jumping and...
replacing needles, you have to clean your records every time you put one on, you're cleaning it. You also might need an ultrasonic cleaner as well for buying records and cleaning them up and things like that as well.
So
I love it. I very much, it's a huge part of me as a music. If you've ever been to any classes and stuff as well, and I do classes, is the classes tend to be guided by the music. Like sometimes if it's hard techno, you can guarantee the rounds are going to be a wee bit more high-paced and intense. There'll be other times I'll purposely put on, say, like hip-hop, because it's a wee bit slower, it's more subdued, and you can control the pace of the class a wee bit better.
I prefer hip-hop for rolling.
Yeah. Sometimes the hard techno that's like comp rolling rounds. That's not an everyday kind of selection.
Are you still coaching as well?
Yeah.
Coaching
at
DJs.
Trench on a Friday. I was doing a couple of days and stuff up at the Fountain and stuff as well, and we then ended up down at Trench. It's been a much better place for us just because it's a wee bit closer for me. It's also opened up the doors to a lot of other guys who maybe weren't up for coming to Cowden Beef. And we have a wee bit more free reign over the facility, so we want spontaneous open mats. We can do that if we want. Other classes and stuff, there's maybe more potential of that further afield. But again, it's tough. Like you guys are always saying, I mean, you come in more, and it's something I want to come in more, but with the week before, the week's gone, which is again, Sunday's like one of those few days where it is possible.
So see Trench then, what is that? Is that like an MMA gym? Boxing gym?
Owned by Gordon Brennan, It's the first guy I'd ever sort of learnt boxing from, out of a guy called Craig. And it's now materialised into what it is. He also does mental health classes and things like that as well. I've volunteered a wee bit of those sometimes, and really nice to see just the evolution of what was in a little hall at Camden Community Centre to what it is now, which is ultimately Trench Boxing and Fitness, and they have a strength and conditioning place there as well. Really, really cool to see, and again, hard earned as well. With Stevie, he's been involved in martial arts for got to be fast approaching. If I'm like 12 years, Steve's going to be 15 plus at something least. And Brennan, very much the same. He's now in his 40s. It's a lifetime of work that's contributed to getting these kind of spaces. And it's nice for us to be in there, be around that as well, and have a wee bit free reign over it as well. Like mopping the mats, cleaning the mats, everything like that as well.
Now you're doing your BJJ at the moment with Prana.
Yeah.
How long have you been training with them?
2 years, I think this is. It'll be 2 years, I believe. We've been at Prana.
I see they've just got a new place. It looks
350 square metres of mats are here. It's going to be, and that's just the matted area. You have changing rooms, showers, and things as well. And I think they've got plans for other things as well that they're keeping a wee bit more quiet with.
Right.
But I believe John and Craig combined must be about 60 years of training time. John being about 40 of those being under Rick Young since he was, I believe he said 15 when I was last sort of speaking to him. But really, really good to see somebody that's been training 40 years, how they move, regardless of the surgeries he's had or the surgeries he needed, as John is a very interesting character as well.
What age is he?
I believe he's just inside 60, if I'm not mistaken, but moves like a ninja.
I think I've seen him kicking about, actually.
Loves a twister.
Does he?
He loves a twister. He loves a twister. Always showing very nice twister variations and stuff like that as well. That's something I was speaking about, was the grip that Stevie was on about versus the conventional head grip. Stevie goes more on the body, he goes more to the far shoulder. I was sort of saying, like, how does this tie in with that and that through the week there as well? Because again, I'd picked up on that over Christmas with the body grip. Where you had me in one, you were going head grip and Stevie was saying to go for the shoulder. And that's where I clocked it for there, and it just stuck, that tiny wee detail being stuck in one. And then obviously knowing that's Stevie's wee tweak on it as well.
Cup on the shoulder. It doesn't feel like it would do anything, but I don't know why, but it's just the way it's twisting.
It's interesting because I think it's like the degrees of freedom, if you will, of your head, what it has to move versus you've got this locked from almost like the hip to there, is taking just the whole spine as one unit and removing the neck from the equation. And
you see Big Max is on ADCC as well. He's got a good match.
Gio, a grudge match,
That's going to be some match,
One of the first times I seen Max compete was against Gio, and I believe when they were both white belts, he maybe had a few already.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Big Gio is, again, he's an absolute unit, but so is Max in his own right as well. Every bit of him's extra Polish. It's one that's going to be good. It's going to be good for the spectators. Very, very good. And again, Big Gio never really steps off the gas as well with the training, and you see that a lot with Max as well. They're both very much dedicated martial artists, and everybody loves a freak show as well. What they got between them, if Gio's like 120, Max 140, it's like 270 kilos at least.
Gio's 120 and he's 140.
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Yeah. You
wouldn't think there would be as much as that between them.
Yeah, I know. It just sort of shows you the size that Max actually is as well. Again, with Max as well, we could improve conditioning and stuff a little bit as well, but it's never going to be...
He's one of your clients, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a lot of fun to work with as well. Really, really nice guy as well. He's very humble. He's very loyal to his family and things like that as well. Speaks really highly of his dad, and that's what shines through most. I also speak a wee bit to Gio as well, because we've trained at similar places, never together, but we've been at similar gyms and stuff, and said some nice things to each other in the passing and whatever else. And I've also spoke to him as well, trying to remain quite civil with as many people as possible. And I mean, he's just a genetic specimen as Gio is. He's a very, very powerful athlete, something that could probably go all the way if that's his intentions. And you're only just sort of seeing that come to fruition with the fights and stuff he's getting.
Aye. So mentioning your clients there, obviously you said you're doing pretty well, which is great. You work with a lot of professional athletes as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like from fighters to
guys like Charlie McGee. As well. A guy called Kieran, he was a pro golfer. Tommy Philbin, he was fighting on like Sky Sports and BT and stuff in Germany and things like that. I'd worked with Mark Ewan for a wee while and stuff when I was at higher level, and it's even times like guys were cutting weight and stuff like that as well that was in the UFC were messaging me asking wee bits and bobs, although they were with other people and stuff, which was flattering. And on top of that, young Aidan Patterson, he's for MXP Stirling, he's just about to turn pro, and a lot of the Black Box guys, they guys put a lot of faith in me to deliver weight cutting and things like that as well, which is, it's nice to be fully ingrained and part of that team, and they trust in me.
That's great. Another thing we've not actually spoke about is you've done a trip to Thailand. Is that where you started Muay Thai as well?
So that was just with the Black Box guys. We'd organised that, and there was a squad of us went out there. We're at Lamai in Koh Samui. It was more so just to kickstart a few guys' camps, and Stuart had been out there for a wee while when he was a wee bit younger and things like that as well. And we all went out there and was just sort of living that kind of Thai boxer lifestyle for a few weeks in the sun, which was good. I was like next door to Charlie McGee, the other coach of Black Box, and he'd be up like 5 a.m. running. He'd got the 7 a.m. class, and that was kind of my inspiration, and it kept me on the straight and narrow when I was there, because there's obviously a lot of bars and whatever else, and like just for the eating side things and stuff as well, and everything else that Thailand brings. It's the best place you could probably go for a training holiday. You get the weather, you get the people and everything else as well. It was one of the ones where I would just use Charlie as my inspiration, because he's got a few years on me. He's also a very good leader as well. as is Stuart. But it was one where Charlie was hitting like 2 sessions a day, almost every day, where you could around fatigue and stuff. Because you weren't next door to him, you'd wake up, you'd hear him getting up or going out in the morning, you'd be like, right, if he's going, I'm going.
Aye, that's
But amazing place. Highly recommend it to anyone that's a keen martial artist as well.
Aye. Did you do any Thai fights when you were there?
No.
Just loads of sparring?
Yeah, somewhere like Lamai also wouldn't just throw you into a fight as well. It's a very high level gym.
Right.
They don't really need the money that's made on the fighting side of things as well.
Aye. Before we go into the questions from the followers, is there anything that we've not spoke about, Dean, that you want to take the opportunity to talk about now?
Other than just show some love, show some support on social media for this podcast and also for myself as well. And any of the gyms that's been mentioned as well, everything for Braveheart, Black Box, Prana as well. These guys also feed off that support as well. That helps their brand grow as well. I feel like they deserve it. And other than that, it's just look after the ones that look after you.
Aye, nothing we've forgot about. Obviously, you briefly spoke about supplements. Creatine, you said, was one that definitely recommend. Is there anything else any wee golden nuggets that you could give her?
Multivitamin. Multivitamin is an easy go-to. Ticks all the boxes. Creatine, multivitamin, omega-3s is a good one. Vitamin D. On top of that, protein powders is a really good one as well. And I like beetroot juice, but it's quite expensive. And with that, you don't need to spend a fortune. It's like sleep, good nutrition, and manage your training and your stress loads as well. Is another really good way for you to improve your physique, improve your mental well-being, improve your body composition, and everything else will fall into place around that. Supplements are like here. The bottom of that is sleep, and it's nutrition. Then it's your training procedures.
Aye.
Then you have like fads, which would be sauna, ice bath, things like that. I know they're not fads, they're here to stay, but you would brand them as a fad in science.
Aye. One of your last clips I seen was where you said it was here's my top 3 tips for, what was it, crash diet, and obviously that's like in satire, obviously.
Yeah. And then just obviously talking about calories. Calories are king. That's all they are. Is food is stored energy, and ultimately that's all it really is. But protein's the one that you can't get from any other sources. Fats, again, dietary fats as well. But when your protein intake's so high, your body starts converting that back to carbs. Body wants to convert everything to glucose for energy, and that's ultimately why like things like the carnivore diet and stuff work. Is that you hit your protein intake and anything else gets turned back to carbohydrate. So again, eat carbs, eat protein, but keep protein as a staple in your diet. Aye,
carnivore, that's actually a great one to ask you about. What that right now, that's you see loads of people talking about should just be eating carnivore, should just be meat, eggs. What's your thoughts on the carnivore diet then?
I think it'll pass. I think it's something that's going to come and go. It's been here already for about 10 years, I believe, so it's nothing new. You might not see too many adverse health effects from it on the short term, and you may actually feel better. But I believe over the long term and stuff as well, as soon as you become hyper restrictive in your diet, you're going to see a lot more negative things happen as a result of that, as opposed to positives.
Aye. So on the flip side to that, you've got the vegan diet, which I know, obviously I came what you're going to say.
I've poked holes in that as well. I would also say like different strokes for different folks.
Yep.
There's some people that's also going to work really well for. It may also work based on the price of things as well, like beans and stuff are really cheap and you can get lots of them for your money. Fibre also, which beans are rich in, is great for things like psychological well-being. Not only that, just like gut motility, gut bacteria colonies and stuff as well. But again, anytime you hyper restrict your diet, things become a lot harder to sustain and live by as well. And also you get like that where it becomes their identity as well, where people almost exclusively live that life. They'll get the t-shirts and everything.
Do you think vegan, you'd need to supplement that with vitamins then?
Yeah, definitely. Creatine being one, and also B vitamins is another one. I'd imagine there may even be some vitamin D concerns as well, just with like things that may not be as bioavailable in the food sourcing we get here as well. It's predominantly supermarkets and things like that. So things like that as well, I would say these are necessities. But the same is also true with carnivore diet as well. It's severely deficient in fibre.
Perfect. Right, we'll just move on to the followers' questions then, if you're all right with that. So, Lewis Nielsen is asking, how did you get into martial arts?
It was my old tradesman when I was at the council. Guy I'd worked with on the maintenance, Eddie. He was taking his son to the boxing classes, and I first then started dabbling in that. Big UFC fan at the time as well, and then started venturing from there up to Stevie's class, which were the underdogs at the time.
Right. Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Is that for Dan?
Yeah.
Aye. Underdog, aye. What was that? Their MMA gym? MMA fight
I mean,
team?
Stevie was the real one that was teaching anything worthwhile MMA there, but yeah.
Aye. Aye. And was Stevie at Edge at that point then, or was that?
No, he was up the road in Bathgate.
He was at higher level
Yeah, he
at
was
that point.
already
Aye.
there. Yeah.
Aye. And then obviously you went to higher level
Yeah.
after that. Aye.
I tried Rick's as well. I tried both, and I just felt like higher level fitted my what I was looking for at the time better.
Were you considering fighting MMA at that point as well then?
It was on the horizon, but
Aye.
what halted that a lot was going to uni.
Right.
Yeah, I prioritised that. That was more important because fighting doesn't go anywhere. Because
See,
you get
the
one shot at a degree.
Do you know, I think when you're with MMA as well, it's such a bigger, like the commitment is so much more than like BJJ.
You don't play it. It's not. You don't half-arse it. Not that you should half-arse BJJ as well, but you can dip in and out around other things, other commitments.
I
Yeah.
feel like with MMA, it's like if you've got a fight, that's going to be your whole life, and you're going to be training almost every day. Like you've not got time for anything else other than that, like
Definitely
kids and
not.
whatnot. Well, at least with PJJ, you could still
Dip
have,
in and out,
you could still have your sort of half time dealing with that.
Definitely.
Aye. The next question I've got is from Danny from Instagram. So he's saying he's struggling. He's quite a lighter guy. He's getting caught under side control or whatever, and he's looking to get an understanding of where can he look for information, or maybe speak to yourself regarding, like, he knows obviously he's got to increase protein. You've covered sleep. Is there anything else, like, in your expertise for lighter guys to be able to start competing strength wise with the bigger guys? What would you?
Definitely be some sort of structured resistance training. I would say for a sport like jiu-jitsu, and again somebody that trains legs far too much as well for a jiu-jitsu guy, it's not the most important asset in jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu is a lot of pushing and pulling. It requires quite a lot of lower body flexibility and stuff as well. Again, a prime example, somebody who what's that guillotine called? The Hundili. Yeah, the one that can barely even say that. Things like that. It's one thing that's surprising about you. Although you've not got a frame that's absolutely laden with muscle like someone like you, you're still in good shape. You still carry enough muscle mass that the flexibility is what catches you off guard, and you're strong. That comes with that. And again, there's a strength that's maybe coming from work. I don't know if you're doing much resistance training yourself, or if a lot of that's also just coming through time on the mats and coaching and stuff as well. But structured resistance training is a big one for me. I wish my jiu-jitsu was at a much higher standard than what it was. Unfortunately, it's not. Although I did teach and stuff, so you got to come to one of the classes. That was a joke.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
Again, a lot of this is very much like passing banter as well. I know the technique stuff's good, but I see someone like some of these wee guys, Euro and stuff, that, or if you're so much stronger than someone and you always say like Michael Barkley, who's like John Zuki at Prana. Although Michael is doing resistance training, he's doing about 40 hours of jiu-jitsu a week with John and stuff as well, so he's there the whole time absorbing this. And he's still under 20, I believe, and the level that he's at as well through that time on the mat. And again, I would say a large proportion of that's going to be drilling, because he's his partner when he's PTing people and stuff as well, I think. And also he's never not at a class, so he's getting all these classes as well, in amongst helping out John and stuff as well. And it shines through as the technique ultimately is king. It's boring, like drilling, I know it's boring, but again, there's like live drilling. There's being someone's partner for these drills, is going in and spending that time, I would say, is the first thing on top of the resistance training structure. But when it comes to your own resistance training as well, for jiu-jitsu is a lot of pulling. We're doing a lot of pulling. We're doing a lot of pushing, so there's going to be, say, like lat work, pull downs, pull ups. There's going to be a lot of pushing, which is like dips. You imagine a dip, if someone's wrapped around my waist in a body lock, if I can push my body weight off them, which would be a dip, or if I can push my body weight plus 20 kilo in a gym environment, it's going to directly translate to a jiu-jitsu environment, which will then mean if somebody has a nice firm purchase on me, and if, let's just say, we went from side control, I've shimmied back and they're now in this top body lock position, like you'll see Nicky Rod and J-Rod using, my ability to be able to either push or pull them to some degree is ultimately going to give me that extra space I'm going to need to come back to guard, or to, if you're a guy that inverts or anything like that as well, then start to play that kind of game. And it's then try to obviously fit that in around these extra sessions that I'm proposing, or this extra drilling, is again picking your hard days. Like, I have days in my week, especially when I'm competing, where I know I'm going in there and I'm going to go mental. Like, literally going to try and give everything I can to that entire session, but the next day may just be, it could be cardio. Like for you were doing loads of running in the lead up to that last match before Christmas.
Yep.
And I guarantee you felt the effects of that running when the going was getting a bit tough. I'm not sure how long it lasted, I've just seen the finish, the clip. But where in the match was that you caught
the Gorilla Invitational?
Was it early
4 minutes.
4 minutes. So again, not too early. It's about the limit of my gas tank is 4 minutes. Everything starts going out the window after 4 minutes in the bedroom and on the jiu-jitsu mat. 4 minutes is not bad for about 2 times round though. But again, it's like having done lengthy rounds and stuff, you'll know your rounds and Steves and stuff. If you got Josh, you got Stevie, you got Lewis, you maybe got Callum, Ross, all these guys that are just coming at you one after the other, you'll have probably felt a difference between week 1 and potentially say you'd ran for 4 weeks, week 4 of running. As your recovery index is getting better, you're basically, when you run and do endurance training, it's quite high volume, and what I mean by volume is how much you do. So as volume goes up, intensity has to come down. Intensity is like a heavy deadlift or a sprint. The distance you were running, let's just say it was a 5k, 20 some minutes, I can't sprint for 20 minutes because it's a very intense activity. But what I can do is run at a 4 out of 10 for hours on end if I wanted. You'll see this with marathon runners, ultra runners and stuff. And the translation of that into your training is what's happening when you're running for these prolonged durations is that you're going to cause a sprouting and forming of new blood vessels. So as your heart is beating blood from your arteries and veins returning that blood to the heart, is it's going to create pressure in your blood vessels, which are going to start to split. There's going to be some sort of signalling that's going to happen that's going to then further downstream lead to new blood vessels forming. What that then means is you have smaller blood vessels and stuff going through your muscles, and when you are looking to deliver nutrients when you're exercising or remove byproducts of those nutrients being delivered and used for metabolism to produce energy, is that they're going to be removed better. So that could be like carbon dioxide, it could be maybe nitrogen groupings and things like that. Your body will then expel those through breathing, your respiratory rate, and that will be expelled as like carbon skeletons. So everything comes back to these molecules of carbon and hydrogen atoms and whatever else. You're going to expel those better, turn over fuel better. You're going to have bigger chambers in your heart through this distance running still we're speaking about here, and the blood's going to be distributed in the body better for those bouts where you need to go. And again, you'll know yourself as well, jiu-jitsu guys are notorious for not being the best athletes in the world. It's actually a gripe that Travis Stevens, his three-time Olympic judoka, has against jiu-jitsu guys, is that they're of no challenge to him because he was an Olympic judoka, three-time Olympian and stuff as well. And if you listen to him speak, he kind of hits the nail on the head. You have your hobbyists and stuff, then you have the guys that are taking it very serious, that are like hobbyists, not quite full-time athletes, because the market's maybe not quite here in the UK for many. There is obviously for the like guys like Ash Williams and things like that as well, and obviously we've got like Shea Montague and stuff in Scotland and stuff who's clearly had that opportunity to make it a full-time thing. But nonetheless, is like if you can become that best jiu-jitsu athlete, which is the framework we're working with here, is prioritising your drilling and your drilling partners. If this person who is stuck under side control all the time finds it's generally with bigger guys, is maybe seeing if you can get a friendly bigger guy in the gym who's going to let you work out of there, or approaching someone like Stevie as well and maybe bringing in side control escapes and having him demo them on the bigger guy to prove they work against the bigger guy.
Aye. Because
you know yourself, there's some things you see online and stuff, you're like, that's amazing, but then when you try it, you're like, that's a load of shite. That doesn't work. Well, it looks amazing on Instagram.
Aye.
And then you'll see things at the highest level where you're just mind blown. This small subset of people. Stevie Paddy Brimblett. Again, we mentioned Paddy earlier, but Stevie versus him on Polaris. That
brilliant.
Yeah, very cool. And then there's obviously the Scottish Twister. Not only is it applicable to Stevie at the highest level, the best organisations in the world, you're now seeing one of the Williams brothers using it over and over and over again, and they're probably two very different people. I've never stood next to Ash Williams, but I would hazard, I guess, Stevie's a wee bit heavier than him, a wee bit thicker.
He's bigger than him,
Again, something like that shows the direct crossover of good techniques, good coach, and good drilling. Then obviously your gas tank. I feel like your gas tank gets better through rolling because it's a bit of a fight or flight response if you find rolling to be a struggle, but then accommodating that with cardiovascular exercise, your daily step count unfortunately doesn't account to that. It's not causing enough of a backload of blood to burst the blood vessels, it's just merely letting you have more movement or locomotion that then promotes more longevity, so that's more to live longer. Running, cycling, aerodyne, ski ergs, stepper, which everybody hates. I seem to really like the stepper. Those things for 40 minutes or longer, you're going to see those benefits of angiogenesis, which is sprouting and forming of new blood vessels. When then you could also add in things like strength training and stuff as well, because you may find time-wise, I would say if like competitive jiu-jitsu or lasting sessions high on your horizons, focusing on your gas tank may be better, because again, jiu-jitsu guys notoriously not the best athletes, but it seems to be changing slowly. Guys like Nicky Rod in the sport and whatever else, and again, some of us are better athletes than others because we either have a career in it, we don't have to juggle full-time work and things like that as well. Somebody like Lee Elmsley, he also lifts weights and stuff, but you also know yourself as crazy strength. Does more cardio nowadays, he's playing a lot more football and stuff as well, so that addition has come in through another sport, which is cool. You're going to get it through that, so Lee's a prime example that bringing in another activity, if you can fit in, is a good way. Your Dagestanis and stuff play a lot of basketball and racquetball and things like that as well. It's another way to take the mundane side of cardio out, because nobody likes doing it. But again, it's maybe another reason why you should do it, is to find the love in something so boring, or find a task like reading a book you could do when doing it would make it more fun. Then look at your strength training. Again, I would not say I prioritise cardio over strength training, but I also think that there's a wee bit more place if drilling and stuff is your focus and you're short on time, is then to increase your gas tank would maybe favour you more than being exceptionally strong. Because again, I know I lean more on the strength side than the gas tank side, and I've seen there'll be times that it'll bite you on the backside a wee bit. And also there's things where you're rolling with like 20-year-old guys all the time as well, as they just keep going like that. I feel like I hit that a wee bit quicker and it plateaus, that it starts to slide, and that's where the years of extra drilling comes in.
Aye, experience.
Yeah, I'd like to be a wee bit antagonistic in my nature as well, clearly via socials and stuff, and some other past experiences as well that we've discussed. And if sort of like a young guy's trying to catch you and they're trying to rip something on or whatever, or there's a wee bit of a heated round, is just kind of gaming them a wee bit. Because again, my strength will only take me so far until somebody can match or supersede it. But if I can keep a higher rolling intensity for longer, then a lot more clean techniques are going to shine through as well. Mm-hmm. You know yourself, if you've ever went in sleep deprived of that to jiu-jitsu, or you're blowing at your hole, and somebody's gas tank just keeps on giving, is you're like a fish out of water. And strength training may not give you that. I may be able to cling on to somebody for longer, I may be able to hold them for longer, but let's just say I have 5 times over the week I can prioritise my sessions. Maybe 4 of them's eaten up by jiu-jitsu. That one session, I'm not saying you should go and just do cardio, but you could maybe split that 1 or hour and a half, 2 hour window you have to do your strength conditioning into different components. First half could be your strength training, and maybe you focus on injury prevention, which would be like wrists, elbows, maybe knees, like some knees over toes stuff's quite hot just now as well. Holds a lot of merit, it's pretty good stuff, guys are loving it. But again, just good old fashioned strength training, like squatting, benching, deadlifting, and nobody's asking you to set world records. Obviously, as red-blooded alpha men, heterosexual men, some asking everybody in jiu-jitsu's question of jiu-jitsu's heterosexual, is love lifting heavy weights. But again, it comes at a consequence. I go lift heavy weights and do 45 minutes of moderate intensity cardio. What's coming at the next day? Which again reverts back to picking your sessions. If I know I had a session like that earlier today, there's a high chance later on I may make the gym and that would just be cardio for me. Maybe some injury prevention stuff for like wrists, elbows and stuff, which are all banged up. And also, if you like sauna use, let's just say my 90-minute session with a half an hour sauna at the end, that 2 hour window I'd mentioned, first 45 minutes I go for speed and power work when I'm lifting, which would be, if I'm wrestling dominant, I would say maybe broad jumps and deadlifts. I could incorporate them as almost like a superset, which is where you do one exercise back to back with another. So I would go from a power-based work, because it's most taxing on the energy systems that it demands on, into a relatively heavy deadlift for 4 to 6 reps, 4 to 6 sets. Superset those, cut down the rest time between doing 8 sets or 10 sets in half by combining 2 exercises. If I could get 4 to 6 exercises in that 45 minutes, I'm winning. I wouldn't always recommend doing 45 minutes of cardio at the back of that, but we're saying this individual only has that window.
Right.
45 minutes, over-the-ear headphones in. Anybody that tries to talk to you is just, know the day. Maybe hood up, go full Sam Sulek. 45 minutes on rower, step or whatever. The joys of something like a rower is it kind of emulates what you might see in a gi or jiu-jitsu, where you are pushing and having to drive off the legs and stuff like that as well. So again, a little bit more transfer to the demands of the sport.
Aye.
But then a consequence of that is you're adding in more stress and stuff onto your joints.
Right.
So again, it's like exactly, it's balancing volume with intensity.
Right.
I find I have quite a lot of intensity in my training volume, but I can feel after the last week that momentum's not quite on my side. And there was a session John put us through on Tuesday, and like it's rare between rounds I'll lie on the mats like broken. I was just lying on the mat, so I'm like my hand up on the mat, and I'm just like looking for anyone to come and get me hopefully a white belt. And it was just like killer after killer after killer, all like 20s or below 20s and stuff, and you're just like, fuck, here we go again. I was like back into the void. But again, it's like I also knew the days after that to step off. I woke up the next day, my hands were warm, my core temperature was high. For me, that's an indicator to step off. I would never go do that strength conditioning session I was describing like that.
But what's that indicating? Inflammation?
So what you'll see with something like this is Aura, and you use Whoop quite a bit as well. How do you find it? Good?
I love it, mate.
Yeah.
Aye.
Is that what's in there as well?
That's it there, aye.
One thing that's cool is loads of nice accessories with those.
Aye.
I use Aura just because I think the sleep analytics are marginally better, but that's a lot better for activity. And you'll see the community groups and stuff. You could see that as good or bad. Community is one of your basic needs. It's like relatedness. Autonomy, competence and relatedness is the 3 basic needs based on like a psychology theory. Relatedness is what we all have because we're involved in combat sports, and we clearly see it as a big part of our life. That provides that with the community aspect of it. But something like this will show your HRV, heart rate variability, which is the time in between my heartbeats. And I believe that's dictated by electrical impulses.
Right.
They shouldn't be too symmetrical in timing. The closer they get to being symmetrical in timing, the more overtrained you are.
Right.
And it's expressed in like higher sympathetic rate when you wake up and stuff. So if you do blood work, you would probably see like maybe higher cortisol, maybe higher markers of inflammation, and a whole host of other things. Again, without digging into academic books and stuff, I won't butcher it, but I believe that's some of the key takeaways of what is happening when you're overtrained.
Right.
Muscle soreness being one, but waking up and your core temperature still being high basically means that your body is still dumping heat. Your hands and your feet are heat dumps. Right. So when you are excessively hot, you're actually seeing, they're now using like Navy SEALs cooling pads, like almost like imagine 2 blocks of ice, except these things are fancy bits of kit. If I was to cool myself between rounds with ice blocks or these cooling mitts, you would probably see my performance on the mat go sky high. So when I use sauna, I'll go cold shower, but I'll do it less on my core and I'll do it more on my hands and feet to try and let where the heat is dumping cool quicker than this, because I did hear on something like Huberman was saying, less focus on what your core's doing, because all heat is coming towards the extremities, the limbs and stuff, to dump when you're too hot.
Right.
And when you digest, it draws blood and stuff more to the core. But to go back to sauna as well, what I was saying there was, if you had this 90-minute session, 45 minutes resistance training, let's just say with like superset broad jumps, deadlifts, power press ups, bench press, and then it's maybe like pull-ups and something like, say, dumbbell thrusters or explosive inverted rows, just to bring some sort of plyometric power-based element in it. Other 45, you go do your cardio. That 45 minutes is just easy ticking over, get a good sweat on. You can carry on that cardiovascular benefit into the sauna. So if I get from Barrentine's changing room or the gym changing room to the sauna within a certain window before my body starts to really settle and stop sweating as much, I can carry over the cardiovascular benefit into my recovery. I'm going to keep using inverted commas for recovery with sauna because it's debatable on the recovery front. But that then also may make me feel like I am recovering better. But not only that, I've transferred the cardiovascular effects that I'm looking for into a new environment, but I get to sit still and recover, catch up with the boys, guys you're training with and stuff as well. That would be my one to answer the question in a huge roundabout way. We went on a few tangents, but if you had 1 session a week, say 90 minutes to 2 hours would be 45 minutes resistance training, supersetting exercises and focusing on whatever your training goals were for jiu-jitsu. So it was being on bottom side control. There's definitely a bench press element. Everybody knows that one guy in the gym that's got a ridiculous bench press that can just hoof you off him, or the one that isn't so good and you can manage to time it and then zap the life out their arms. It's coming for a lot of upper body endurance. Again, why you may see the rower as a good option for your cardio at the back of it. Leg based stuff if you're a wrestler or whatever as well, but then you also have like a glute bridge element. You could bring in like glute drive. It could even be back squats is a good one, although when you back squat, the fourth generation's coming for this from a vertical perspective, whereas if I bring it more so to here, the dynamics of my body and everything change so much that again it relates a lot more to the kind of force you want to produce in jiu-jitsu, because again squatting upright is slightly different to trying to glute bridge someone off you as well as potentially bench press. So these would be like fundamental exercises for a grappler. It could be dumbbells. Some people like kettlebells. Again, you'll see kettlebells are red hot because of Joe Rogan, much like that 36-year-old cut off for TRT. Is a guarantee next time anybody tells you they're in the mid-30s and they're thinking about testosterone, just ask them why mid-30s. Because there's nothing in research coming out that's saying like this is when men should start to use testosterone. Could be 50. Like you could just see it somebody in their 50s that then maybe starts to need it, and all their days are big massive hands, big hairy bastards and whatever else is they may be fine until they die. This is the mid-30s is the Joe Rogan cut off. That's the Joe Rogan effect. Same with kettlebells. Again, I like kettlebells. I think they're good, but if I'm squatting with a kettlebell and that's 32 kilo, it's not doing much for me as an 85 kilo person. They're good, you can swing them about. They lower risk of injury, although when I'm swinging it, say this far away from my body, the physics increase. If I let that go in a gym environment or something as well, I take out a Karen, it's not great. But 100 kilo back squat is relatively safe, it's not too hard. You maybe do it on a Smith machine as well if you're less comfortable in a gym. The total load lifted in that session is going to go through the roof at 100 kilo, and we were saying 4 to 6 reps, 4 to 5 sets. If we just say 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times 100, you're now up to 2,000. That's basically 2 ton lifted versus my 32 kilo kettlebell times 20, we're only at 600 kilo lifted. The goal of a session is to lift as much weight as you can and manage fatigue in between that around everything else you've got going on and stuff as well. And these are all sort of things that I consider in training programs as well. And again, to go back to why I think communication is so key, I can see the sessions that people I work with log, so the weights they lift, the trends in the weights they lift. We track progress photos so you can see like, oh look, more abs, more ass, less ass, decreased body fat, but also the body weight will graph as well, which is great. It's objective data, but what really matters is what's Jamie feeling. How does Jamie feel today? Like one guy I'm working with is in a slight calorie deficit just now, jiu-jitsu guy, white belt. He's done really well competing. He signed up for 6 comps, but he's done something like 6 jiu-jitsu sessions this week and 2 weight sessions, and it's Sunday. So again, it's a lot of training volume. It's impressive, but when your calories are restricted, and I'm now seeing coming through in the messages that there's a tiredness and stuff as well. And all week I've been like, we need to manage this volume. We need to manage volume, and again, volume being the total amount that is done. Like that session earlier, if he's had 5 of those this week, I mean, I left. I was looking at myself in the mirror before I come here, and I wee eye cream and that. I was like, I need to like brighten up these eyes if I'm going to be facing the world at large. And I feel like there was rounds where I was just getting my ass handed to me as well. And same like when I was just playing Lizzie Deep half with you, there was times where I was just like, this is close. I was like, this is not a good spot to be in. And I was getting closer and closer. And again, somebody's just ripping on your neck or on your windpipe or whatever it is. I left that, got home, calmed myself down and stuff. I was looking in the bathroom mirror. I was like, I really hope this goes well. And I was like, we'll get the eye cream and that, and we'll try and get rid of like the puffiness of I've just had my cunt kicked for an hour and a half.
Nah, you look great, man.
Likewise, as this reciprocated. But that like managing your volume, I'm not going to say I'm not a hypocrite to this sometimes, but I love training. I love jiu-jitsu. Again, today we're doing a great day for another day's rest, but again, the thing with this is very much the podcast ties with open mat really well. It's a nice effort to make to go through, and for me to get rounds like that, it's even better for me as a martial arts practitioner. Is not only do I get to go into, again, I keep saying it's probably the best gym in Fife. I've had to argue, if we look at, if you want to be as pedantic and score on belts, which I don't think it's actually about quality of rounds. Because again, if you've ever been ankle locked off a white belt, then you'll realise that belts don't matter. These new guys coming through are on another level, regardless of belt. It's more so the depth of experiences in that gym as well.
Aye. So see if somebody's looking to, they've listened to this podcast and they've maybe never heard of you before, but they're really impressed with you. How would they go about getting in touch with you, or getting in touch with, if they wanted to work with you? What steps would they take?
They could have a look on the website, see first and foremost that it fits the price as well. I think a lot of people can be put off by the price, and again, there is something for everybody as well. There's flexibility in payments and things like that as well. But again, make sure, so then one, you don't get me excited as well, because there's a lot of people reach out and I think they're not in a position to make that change. But again, I'm also working on things that are going to help everybody. So there's like much lower price entry point. You'll have something for life that you can use over this 9-week period we're going to work together, but then also keep all those documents, because there's other, you call it a transformation, whatever you want to call it, other challenges and stuff that offer you access to something like Google Sheets, and when that period ends, they remove it.
Right.
Which I think's cheeky. I don't care if you were to pay me for this period and give it to your gran and your auntie and stuff, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, that's good for me. One, you've chosen to support me. Two, there's other people may gain access to that knowledge and their life will benefit from it, and even if yours didn't as much as you'd hoped. And on top of that, it helps people see what this brand actually is as well, and that's going to trickle downstream and come back full tilt to me as well. So to offer what I can give people at a much lower entry price is the next move for me as a business owner. But to work with or contact me directly, Instagram is a good avenue. On the website as well, you'll start to see what is available. If it's for you, it's currently going to be going under some development as well to reflect where the brand is now. It was very much geared towards the sports science side of things a couple of years ago, and again still is, but it's now the field has expanded so much, and it's again crossing continents and stuff as well now, which is really nice. People in New Zealand and things like that, and Europe and everything as well. It's really, really rewarding, because that was always a goal, was like make an impact in Scotland, and then for Scotland let the world see what's going on as well, and that's hopefully what the lower entry price will then contribute to as well.
Aye. Well, the thing is, you get what you pay for, and your time is valuable. You're only one person as well. You can't obviously,
and it's priced at what I would feel like an hour is worth of my time as well. And if you take that over 6 months, it actually reduces to a much lower entry price as well. And that's what you pay for. Is like, if I'm pricing for an hour a week, you can guarantee there's probably going to be more than an hour's worth of conversation sometimes as well. Like there's times, again, why I'd mentioned about you being a dancer, there's a lot of these deep and meaningful conversations I've been having this week that they're also benefiting me as a person. They're answering a lot of questions for me and helping me sort of gather data, if you will. But not only that, it helps me see who somebody is as a person as well, which builds a better relationship between us. I'm not just interested in how much you're bench press. I'm not just interested in if you hit your calories. I'm actually interested in like what gets you ticking. I had one guy I'm working with who's in New Zealand, and he went back to jiu-jitsu. He'd not been in jiu-jitsu for years, I think. He had knee surgery and stuff. Went back to jiu-jitsu, and then he sent me a photo yesterday, and he got a stripe on his blue belt. So he was a blue belt and left and went back, and he was like, I'm not sure if I got this for X, Y, and Z, and da-da-da. And I also reaffirmed as to why he got it was not just for because you've returned or because they wanted your membership money. And that gym also has like a lot of gym barbecues and stuff as well, which you probably would have been a wee bit disjointed from, not being there and training regularly. So that's probably one of the biggest driving factors. What I do is try to make people reconnect with things like that. Granted, we're lucky we have combat sports as a common ground to speak about as coach and client. But I could talk to you about watching paint dry as well. As if we get a wee sniff of what you're interested in and you're passionate about it, it's more often than not will lead to people actually having interesting conversations. Sometimes about things you'll know nothing about. Like working with firefighters just now, worked with people that have been working on private chartered yachts, which was interesting.
Right.
Yeah, so somebody was out in like Seychelles and stuff, which I think is Caribbean, I believe. I have no idea. I think
no,
so.
Seychelles is Indian Ocean, is it?
Is it?
I
Again,
so.
I have no idea, but they were all
Maldives,
over,
isn't it? Is it similar to the Maldives, Callum? You'll be able to pull that
young
up.
Callum. Seychelles. Yeah, I hope I'm saying it right.
I'm pretty sure Seychelles is Indian Ocean. Africa.
What's in Africa?
There we go.
That'll be at the coast of Africa then, eh? Is it
Somewhere far
near the Maldives?
Yeah.
So it's Indian Ocean.
Beautiful. Like, so see, working with somebody that's out there and they're an engineer on a yacht and stuff, and they're like sending you updates as to what's happening. And also having a program to a gym that's on the staff quarters of a yacht, and like things are in cupboards and hanging up. Like not a fully functioning gym, but it's in the engineer's workshop and stuff as well. Like stuff like that. Again, it's like to do that for a living versus what I was doing, and even during uni as well, I would drift back towards roofing because I got to the stage where I could get very good money for a shift. I would also get to work with someone I'm close with, Gordon Brennan and stuff, but again, I was advised as well, and it paid off. Like the day I could fully give that up and not rely on that to bring me money to help me feed myself and pay my bills, the day the business would take off. And it was a wee bit slower than I would have liked, as it always is with businesses. Like obviously everybody wants more money, but I mean more money, more problems kind of thing. But again, it was always to pay the bills. If I can get this paying the bills and I can live a good quality life, then I'm content, I'm happy, I have some sort of meaning and something I can give back to people. And a lot of times it's like when I'm not working, as I'm going through Instagram, that's why I gave you my numbers, because sometimes on Instagram there's about 100 messages. Nobody, I'm just a random person who managed to forge a good career, but the fact that many people want to engage with you to some degree, and sometimes just reacting to a story or speaking to you, but you'll see it with us, it's like people got to reach out to you and say nice things at a certain point, and you're like, fucking hell, it's like somebody maybe reached out about their mental health, or how would I do this, like, what's the best steps I could do this, or how could I get better at jiu-jitsu. I had someone ask that the other day, it's like, I'm at uni full time, I'm working 20 hours a week, I managed to make it to the hit squad like once every 7 to 10 days. How can I get better at jiu-jitsu with the limited time I have? Other than PTs, which is probably another good way to spend your time, is watch it. If you
study it.
Yeah. If you watch much like B-team stuff in that as well.
Brilliant,
How marketable is that channel now?
Oh, aye, it's great.
Even like the stuff you guys are churning out as, like when you see it, it's getting this look, it's getting this theme, like people are going to tune into that. It's going to contribute to the jiu-jitsu meta getting better.
Aye. Aye, back to you again though. You've done great, mate, honestly, and see your story as well. Just like you were in the roofing and you hated it, and you took that leap, and you really have made something. Yeah, I'm genuinely really pleased for you about that, mate. And I think it's just going to go from strength to strength for you. And you put the time and effort into the studying that you've done and the experience that you've got. So I think you'll do.
And again, it's because of opportunities like this as well. Another podcast I've been on in the years, but this is the first one in a wee while. Whereas some of the other ones I'll listen back to and like, some things I spoke about there where it was like I didn't show what this is all about, and today I really wanted to come on and show maybe more a level head, as well as like I say, a lot of things I can be quite antagonistic and like not laddish, but like I like the banter, I like the crack, a wind up merchant, and it puts a lot of people's noses out of joint, but never with bad intentions.
It's good for content though.
Exactly that, but there's also a certain look I would like people to know that this is exactly who I am, what I do and stuff. Who I am.
I think it's good to be professional, which I think you are. A wee bit of banter as well, as people can know that you're no dull. You've got a wee bit of banter. You've got a bit of personality.
Too far as well. People don't like it. But
you'll never please everybody, mind.
And it's Scots as well. It's very much ingrained in us as well as the abusive side things, and the tough love side things. Some I've learned to deal with as a coach as well, so not be too salty about things as well. If I put 110% into something, maybe somebody's got 90% going towards something else in their life, or other demons they're fighting. It's like really being able to actively listen to people. What are they saying? Why are they saying it? And again, I've worked a lot on my own self-development with things like NLP and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen like Tony Robbins, things like that.
Linguistic language.
Programming, and it's all more so like storytelling that becomes imprinted in your subconscious, and you'll start to see just through listening to things like that, you'll then start behaving slightly differently and hopefully positive routes. There's also a hypnotherapy side of NLP as well, which I'm not too familiar with. I've been going more on the communication front, because again, not the best of communicators, still improving much better than where I was, but it's something I really need to improve on. It's like pacing and things as well. If you're thinking fast, it doesn't mean you're more intelligent, it just means the speed of the thoughts are so fast that they're just kind of coming out. And again, it was a big goal anyway, coming on here and stuff as well, was to try and pace it and stuff. And before I nipped away for a, I soiled myself on the podcast there. It was one that I was like really having to work on, just try and slow things down.
No, I think you've done alright.
On the podcast.
You've done well, mate. It's been great. It's been
good just to connect more and train with yourself as well. Again, it's like when you're not training with people that long and stuff, there's times you're rocking up to the gym and you're like, oh, I'm like, I'm going in here, I'm going to get leathers. It's never like that. It's always your little bubble up here, and life is like that.
Yep.
If you fall out with people, like the amount of imaginary nonsense arguments happen, and then we bump into each other, we're like, oh, alright, oh, by the way, mind that time you fucking stood on my shoe or whatever, it was actually an accident. I thought it was this.
you blew it up in your mind,
and that'll take years off your life. And I think that's one thing that Fife martial arts as a whole could take and swallow, and probably Scotland as a whole, because if you look at the Midlands of England and stuff, like their Thai boxers and stuff are like that, and they're all different gyms, and it's a hotbed, and you're seeing it with like Cal Eleanor's gym, North Jiu-Jitsu, and even like one Livesey and all the guys doing there with AVT Leeds and stuff. It's like they band together so well, and granted they have tenfold the people we do here, and it's not a Scotland England thing, but it feels like we're very polarised in Fife martial arts and stuff as well, and that's why I've always made the effort to get into Stevie's. I was keen to get into Ian's over Christmas stuff there and ran out of time, and still I will make that effort just so people are well aware. Like, I don't care, I say to my guys as well, like, I don't care where you go. Like, guess what I do? I go to Branham, I go to Black Box, I'm here on a Friday coaching. Why? Because this is my journey. These are people that I feel like are invaluable to learn off of, and if you can take any one thing from me, it would be that. Obviously there's running banter, like if guys go elsewhere and that, there's like running banter, but it's not personal. You know what I mean? It's like, I know for some guys jiu-jitsu is their identity, like it's so bound to them that they maybe feel like it's very personal, but again it's like you cannot, like life's about so much more than this. This is just something that keeps us sane and keeps us on the straight and narrow, but like there's so much more going on that like anything that's said wayward of that as well, unless I'm like being very malicious and targeted at you, but I would like to hope it's never perceived that way, and if it is like at least the very least bring it up, like call it for what it is, like call a spade as. It's like that's because I'd much rather that it was everybody trained with everybody in some sort of weird little fantasy. It would be like some Fife super gym where you'd have everything from Cuggy's Thai gym under there to like Stevie and that, then MMA again. But it's, unfortunately it's not the position we're in, but at the very least we could be doing is interacting and cross training with each other.
I feel Braveheart's definitely quite welcoming visitors. You're
very good at that. You go out your way to make that effort because you know, and you would have known when the gym was quieter, when Stevie was involved in the PFL tournament and stuff, and it's probably the backbone of what kept that going was you guys showing up and Phil doing bits and whoever else was coaching her. And now look at it, like everybody's commenting about the open mat this Sunday.
It's booming,
and even for me, it's like I walked in, I was like, holy shit. I was like, dragged myself out my bed, managed to sneak in watching a Umar fight, and then walked into that. I was like, this is cool. Because if anybody deserves it, it's Stevie. There's like X amount of years in the sport, like at the pinnacle of the sport, the best of the best, probably will remain to be the most decorated Scottish MMA fighter, I would say, in the busiest division. Like the lightweight title is the one. Even still, if he's a lightweight champ, Islam, who was champ before that, Khabib, who was it before that? McGregor, who was before that? Like Eddie Alvarez, maybe. We start going back from there. It's like murderer's row of people. It's a hard division to even crack a shot at anybody in that division, let alone guys like Joe Lozon and stuff. And I think a lot of people also recognise that, And if not, then they probably will through time. It's one of the ones that's, if anybody deserves a busy gym, I would say it's Stevie.
Aye, well, you're, like I say, mate, you're always welcome to come and train with us. You can that. It's great
Don't
to
know
experience
how many
guys.
I can take off Stevie though.
Yeah, I'll get battered after Stevie.
Oh
every
my
day, man.
god, it's funny because some people say, I've done this and done that, and I said, and I'm like, no, you didn't. Maybe just let you do that.
I think
But when it comes down to the bit, is a no, because there was times at higher level and that where it'd be like, alright, you go with Steve, fucking like guillotines, this, that, next thing. Like, it's nice to be able to contribute and be stuck with these guys, but I'm like, fucking hell, I was like just showed the difference when I was like a young blue belt and stuff. And it was also a great opportunity as well to become a good martial artist as well. And that alone, be very eternally grateful for things like that. And it's kept a nice relationship with Stevie as well. It's how I ended up there as well, was via getting to experience that coaching. And ultimately nothing's changed. I say that to him, I was like, that those kind of the way those rounds go is it doesn't seem to change. There's like maybe tiny more glimmers of hope I'm getting there, but it's also when it's probably just warranted and it's granted. That's there you go. It's like, let's can I defend this? And then next thing you're flat on your back. It's enjoyable watching like you guys training as well, because you have had so many rounds as well, and watching like the kind of things you'll work and how he'll counter your game and stuff as well. And obviously you'll have stuff that is learnt directly for him, but you've got your own twist in your own game as well.
Aye, that's it. I pretty much learned everything from him, but you do, like you say, you put your own
wee bits of swag and style on it.
Some stuff that maybe, like in terms of flexibility, that you can use. But
who do you look up to in the jiu-jitsu world as well? Like, who do you enjoy watching in your free time and stuff? Do you have like content or footage you start to look at and things like that? Or
well, like you said, the B team's good for watching.
Anybody in particular out of that team?
I like J-Rod's stuff, because I feel like he doesn't, it's no strength he's relying on. He's quite a lot of flexibility stuff as well. I like watching, know that it's like a lot of content, but see if Cammy Donnelly's ever got anything, I always watch his stuff. Great for like breaking stuff down.
Over the years, a lot of good rounds and picked up wee bits and pieces and stuff. Yeah, it is. And sometimes I would hopefully like to see put Scotland on the map again as well, like young Shea.
Yeah.
You ever rolled with Shea?
I've rolled with Shea once. He come to do a seminar with us. I managed to survive a round with him.
Picked me up like an old dirty carpet and like whipped me out in the gi, and obviously they're like two different sized people. And I was like, what the fuck?
Sensational, eh?
Yeah.
He is. Like,
cool. Very cool.
But other than that, maybe just like speak to a couple of guys as well, like Ash and JQ as well. Like a lot of their stuff as well.
Further afield, would you be looking to maybe travel with this and get guys like that on board and stuff if it gets to that sort of stage? Or?
Well, I've spoke to Jed, but it would be if he was in the past. And same with Ash, he's going to be travelling up here for he's doing a seminar in Greasy Barra Dundee, so potentially having Ash on in February.
I didn't know they would be allowed people like that to pass through, because his gym.
Greasy Barra.
Yeah.
Greasy Barra?
Yeah. I thought it had to be like Barillo and stuff. I'm being serious, I don't know.
Pass me, I don't know. I just seen
obviously I think it's gone independent now as well from what I hear.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's just maybe one off. I have no idea. But interesting, huh?
I'm not too sure, man.
Because you guys obviously get your own guys and stuff passing through and stuff as well. Like you were saying with Young Shea and things like that. And I kind of wish I'd been allowed to go to the Owen Livesey seminar that was elsewhere as well, but there's no chance I was getting through the doors. I would know maybe like the fake moustache and the glasses on. That's the only way I was getting in there.
That would have been a good one,
Yeah, unfortunately I've burnt a couple of bridges myself with my cheekiness. But again, I always will stand true to my morals and values. So
that's it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Dean, I think we'll maybe wrap it up there. I think we could maybe speak for 4 hours, but might go too long for the listeners. But listen, mate, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You've been very insightful, knowledgeable, exactly what we're looking for the episode, so it's been great.
Perfect. Thank you very much, G.
Cheers, Dean.
Cheers, my man.